Hey, Travis here from the DweeBros podcast. This is not the podcast. This is the morning after the podcast. Just wanted to kind of make a quick announcement on the front end of this video. We've been trying to step up our game a little bit with the audio for the podcast, and we've been using microphones. And this month on the podcast, as you're going to see here in a minute, we used some microphones, and we had an error with one of the microphones, with Zach's microphone, and spent some time trying to salvage it and just made the call to use our backup audio source. So the audio on this month's episode is going to be a little bit less than what we really expect and what we want it to be. It should be, an okay listen, but just wanted to address it up front and let you guys know that we'll get that fixed for the next one, and appreciate you always tuning in and hanging out with us. This is a good episode. We talk about Dune. We talk about Metroid Dread. So first time on the channel, hang out with us, watch it, and know that normally we'll have the audio a little bit better. Thanks. Have a good one.
Hello and welcome to the DweeBros podcast.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Welcome. You have entered the spookiest, as you can see from this man over here. Oh, and the squeaking. That sounds like a haunted house.
Stop. That's
Can you pick that up?
That's not a thing. Stop.
It was a squeaky door like a haunted house. You have stepped into the haunted podcast. I hope you're ready, and I hope you've got a new, fresh pair of shorts because you're gonna poop on them.
What are you? Who are you?
I am Diamond Hands. I am Wall Street Bets. I am rich.
I'm a man with his hood up. Very spooky.
You're like a crypto trader.
Yeah.
You're like a hacker.
I deal in the secret. Secret coins.
You're actually more rich than I am.
I'm a young parent that matches with his baby, and also several ghosts.
That's pretty scary.
That is terrifying.
It's incredibly terrifying.
Yeah, pretty spooky. But we don't just be rich and Diamond Hands our crypto and our stocks. We also Diamond Hands cool thoughts about video games and cool discussions, TV shows, and movies here on the DweeBros podcast.
Does that mean like we don't let go of our discussions?
We never, it never ends.
We also never let go of our opinions.
That explains why I'm still on this damn show.
Yeah, we never end the podcast. This might be a 10-hour.
I feel like I've been doing this for 6 years now.
Yeah, the podcast never ends. We're Diamond Hands again. Nope. So I actually have a Diamond Hand story if you guys would entertain me for a second.
Why don't you entertain us with the story?
Well, entertain me. And so I have my parents. My dad is actually retiring kind of soon. So this gets kind of personal, but I'm going to keep, whatever. This is a good story. So they were talking to me, and they were like, hey, something with the stock market was going crazy a couple weeks ago, like a month or so ago, and it dropped. Everything dropped. And she was like, we're freaking out. We dropped X amount. It was like a significant amount. And he's like, we're trying to retire, whatever else. All this is going on. And I said, Mom, and I explained the concept of Diamond Hands to her. Because, the money is wrapped up in stocks and stuff. And she was like, what? Wait, what is Diamond Handsing? And I went through it. And I was like, you're Diamond Hands if you don't sell, and you're paper hands if you sell. Don't pull it out now. Because they were like, do we go now or do we wait or whatever? She's like, we've lost a significant amount of this thing. And I said, you got a Diamond Hands. And I told and then it wasn't until, the discussion, so I said that, and I didn't think much of it, and I was like, here's what you do. You Diamond Hands it, and you don't look at it. I was like, it's all emotional. Don't look at it. Because she would look at it obsessively and whatever.
Day,
yeah. And I was like, stop looking at it. Let a month or so go by, and Diamond Hands it, Mom. She's like, okay. So I didn't really think much of it, and I talked with her yesterday, and she's like, do you remember when we had that discussion, and the money, dropped significant? And I was like, yeah. I was like, and you told us to not do it, and I'm like, oh God, oh no, I tried. I was like, that really. And she was like, we listened to you, and we got all that money back, and the money that we lost, we got that on top of what we did. And I said, you Diamond Hands, and then she went, we what?
You were in the Halloween outfit.
Yeah. So I was like, you Diamond Hands. She was like, I didn't look at it, and she was like, that was the right thing to do. So What I had to, honor my parents' entire livelihood by you got a diving hand.
That's the best story I think I've heard.
Sometimes you just gotta hang on, man.
You have to hang on. So, thank you for hanging with us for the past 4 years.
Thanks for
There's been diving hands in it, and it's finally paying off.
Yeah.
All the Xbox fans.
Yeah.
I really I was thinking about that the other day. I saw this graphic and they're like, here's the last 6-7 games Xbox has put out. They're all 85 and higher meta. They're coming out, they're good. It's they diamond hands the whole generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Diamond hands from 2013 till 2021.
They waited a long time. I don't know if we're ready to talk about games, but I am playing a game right now that is kind of from that neck of the woods. Do we want to talk about games?
What kind are you playing? Donald Trump's PC game? Have you seen that?
Donald Trump's PC.
I was just thinking financial stuff. You're playing
No, I'm playing
watching Wolf of Wall Street on NES.
Similar to a Donald Trump adventure game.
Okay.
I'm playing Psychonauts 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Psychonauts 2, sequel to Psychonauts 1. Well, the first one wasn't called Psychonauts.
I was going to say, I don't think so.
It was called Psychonauts. But I'm playing Psychonauts 2. It is a platformer. You played Psychonauts 1 a little bit on stream.
Yeah, we streamed it. Yeah.
Psychonauts 1 is a weird game for me because I played the demo hundreds of times because I didn't have money for the game when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I loved the demo, and the demo, this was back when demos were hey, here's the first 2 worlds of the game. It was a lot of the game. So I played that demo a lot as a kid, and then when I was a little bit older, I did get the game, played it, and I liked it, but I think we agreed it maybe didn't age the best in terms of, it's still a playable game, but it doesn't have the polish that a lot of other platformers do from that era. The PS, it was kind of a later platformer too.
Yeah.
Late.
It was kind of rough, but I think playing as a kid, I could see that.
What did it originally launch on?
Xbox.
On
the original Xbox. And so the other thing about it is, what I like about the game, if you've never played any of the Psychonauts, is I just really like the world. It's very funny, and the concept is in the first one, these kids are in this summer camp, but it's for psychics. And this main character kid, he crashes it because he wants to be a psychic, but he's not in the camp because he's not invited. But it's like Hogwarts for little psychic kids, but it's summer camp. But basically, what you do in the game is the worlds are you go in the minds of other people. And so, the collectibles are figments of their imagination. So, there's all these figments you grab. You have to find keys and, unlock their emotional baggage. And, it's, a lot of, helping the different people whose minds you go into, deal with their, trauma or their issues.
Gotcha.
So, it's a kid's game, but it's also kind of, a little more adult, too.
All right.
And the first one was really good. It was well written, and it's a little janky now, but it's good. But I've been looking forward to, they've been talking about for years now, a sequel, a Psychonauts 2. And they kickstarted it, I think at one point, and then they
figged it. Remember Fig?
Yeah.
It was the guy, Tim Schafer. Tim Schafer started his own kind of Kickstarter called Fig. And
I had no idea about
for video game projects, and that was, of course, on there.
That was on there, and it's just been kind of this, Double Fine, that's the company. They did, after Psychonauts, they did a game called Brutal Legend, which I didn't play.
A lot of people
that's got a cult following.
Yeah, it's on my list. I've gotten it free on, every platform.
It's a platformer that you would play with your Guitar Hero guitar. There's parts you're supposed to use your Guitar Hero.
I didn't realize that.
So, that's, I'm just not a big Jack Black guy, so, it just didn't, appeal to me necessarily, but after Brutal Legend, that company really took financial hits. I think that the crisis, the housing crisis, I think Double Fine fell off a cliff because for a little bit they were doing Fig projects, and they did a couple little adventure, point and click adventure games, and so they were kind of off the map for a while. But Microsoft, I guess, saw an opportunity and was hey, we should buy Double Fine, and they did that a couple years ago, and they've been working on this Psychonauts sequel for a long time. So that's a long way of getting to this story. But basically, it came out this year. I had it on my radar, and I just was I'm just going to install this and play it. It was on Game Pass. And I'm about a little over halfway through the game, and I really just love it. It's really fun. They've added a lot of really good mechanics to the game, a lot of really clever platforming. Something that they do, they've just added all these really inventive ways to play with the space of being in somebody's mind that even weren't in the first one. Mm-hmm. One of the puzzles is this idea of going into people's heads, and they have all these disconnected thoughts. And so like you go into one girl's head who has this connection. It's almost like a line puzzle. She has this connection between risk and failure. So as you dig through her emotional baggage, you learn like something that happened. She was a doctor's assistant, something she did that like made that association become. So your inclination is, well, we want her to take us on this trip because you're like in this like Hogwarts type setting and she's a teacher that doesn't let you go do anything. So let's connect risk to like money. Like, so you solve the puzzle by connecting it in a different way, but then like outside of the level, her personality changes and like the game, crazy. Like she goes crazy and she takes you to like this casino place and like she starts gambling like crazy and you got to go back in her head and try to fix what you broke. And just really fun, really good writing, really fun mechanics. They don't put you in the worlds for too long to where they get old, but every world is fun and inventive, and I'm loving it. Like
sounds awesome.
I'm about halfway through it. It's probably gonna end up being like 10-15 hours long, and I'm really enjoying it. So.
I'm glad they got bought. I feel like that was a good buy for Microsoft.
I agree. Those kinds of companies, especially like trying to make a Psychonauts type game now. You
have to really sell that thing.
You have to be Ratchet and Clank. Like you have to have a defined. Even them. I mean, I think it gets to be hard. Like if you're Insomniac, like is it more worth our time making a Ratchet and Clank or making a Spider-Man? It's like you're gonna make a lot more money making a Spider-Man.
Yeah,
they're gonna keep that IP around, but for some of these smaller IP and making platformers, like Game Pass is really good for those types of games because I don't think that they sell for $60. And I mean, this game is on sale for $60. I think it's a good game. I would support it if it wasn't on Game Pass, but I'm not upset. I don't have to spend $60.
I think those, I think you're still going to get those like Undertales or like built in someone's basement kind of games forever and thrown on Steam. But those AA games are gonzo this gen. Like I think those are like unless a Microsoft scoops them up or a Sony scoops them up.
I actually think we have a lot more of them this gen. Like there's tons of that. The Ascent came out this year. That's kind of a top guy. There's on Game Pass. That's where they live.
Yeah,
they live on Game Pass.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say.
Well, and Bug Snacks, like these games are happening, but they have to be given kind of away for free.
That's what I meant. Like a subscription is their future. Like they have to be attached to something.
Yes.
As far as financially, that's
somebody else has to see their potential.
Yeah,
they can't just make it on their own.
Which, speaking of those, so yeah, Psychonauts 2 is really rad. I would recommend it if it looks like something you're interested in. It's really fun. But speaking of like those like AA type, like kind of free to play, kind of we're gonna give it away for free this month, and then it's $10 type games. Yeah. Did you guys watch the new State of Play PlayStation did?
I did not
heard about it and didn't watch it.
I didn't even know it happened until it was already over.
Somebody summed this up as State of Free to Play. Like, that's what this was. It was not great.
Sometimes you can get, when they put on Twitter, I can immediately get a vibe of what, if this is worth watching. Yeah. For some reason, either the way they phrase stuff or whatever, sometimes they'll be like, hey, and this is just all third-party stuff, or this is going to be 50 minutes, and we're going to be talking some stuff. And then you start to see people like, hey, we're going to be watching this live. It's like, okay, this will be a big one. But this one was like, hey, it's 20 minutes, and we're going to talk. And I was like, pass.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
Catch up later.
There was not a lot that stuck out to me. There was it really rubbed me the wrong way, obnoxious, like, indie band, like, choose your own adventure type story game. The writing was really rough. It was like a lot of like pretentious kind of joking. It didn't really do. It was like OKC or something, OFK something. I don't know. But then like it was weird because they were like, and like you can go listen to our EP on Spotify. It was like a metaverse type thing of like, wait, is this real or is this not real type thing?
Zuckerberg.
You remember the game Let It Die that came out 4 or 5 years ago? It was like a Souls-like free to play.
I never played it. But
they're doing it's going to be released for free on PlayStation. I think it's like a battle royale in that universe type thing. It looked like it had some fun Japanese kind of goofy humor.
Sounds like another COVID project.
Yeah,
coming out on the line.
There was another game called First Class Problems or something like that, and it was third person Among Us in space with Fallout humor. Yeah. It was just like, eh. And then they showed, did you ever play Star Ocean games?
I watched that trailer and I was like, that is a COVID project.
I was watching this like, I am so split of like, this is the only thing probably in this like State of Play that I think looks interesting, but it looks so rough. Like it looked so unbelievably rough, but it reminded me of Xenoblade.
Yeah.
When they started flying out, it's like a third-person JRPG type game. And then they closed it with that game that people were saying is that we haven't heard from in a while. That Little Devil Inside. It's like a little like
that is.
it's like this little guy, and like it's the one
It's a little devil inside.
when they revealed the PS5, he was like an old man, but then they would show him on adventures, and it was like going back and forth of him being an old man, but then also going
like
on little adventures.
It
was like Up.
Just the
Yeah,
beginning
that
of
game
Up.
looks cool. Like if it's a bug snack situation and they give it to me,
Yeah.
I'll play it. I'll check it out. But yeah, State of Play
State of
was just.
It was a hoot.
It was just exactly
It was there.
exactly what it needed to be, I guess. So
It's what we worked on during COVID at home with one programmer.
I was on Reset Era. Like it starts out, you're watching the show, and I have it open in case something big happens. And then like you're kind of like losing interest, and then like you're just more looking at your phone, and that thing's happening on the TV.
Yeah.
I watched it down here, and I was just scrolling through. The salt was unbelievable. People thinking we were going to get Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah,
People
I
thinking we
feel
were
like
going to
it
get
can
Blood.
lie.
State of Play.
People think we were going to get Bloodborne 2 or Bloodborne to PC announcements. Like
I don't know. I feel like they give you a good frame of mind. They have not done this in a while, but I feel like every State of Play that they were saying there is no PSVR announcements. There will be no PSVR 2 announcement, or there will be no PSVR 2 because they did put that in an article. I thought that was a weird way to launch that thing. They showed the controllers for the PSVR 2 a couple months back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But since then, they've just said there's going to be nothing on video. There's going to be nothing on video. And it's like I get that, but I wish that would have been a State of Play.
Like
Just show me
maybe
a
hold
picture.
the announcement then if you
Yeah.
don't actually have anything to.
Yeah,
to
that could
talk
have been a
about.
cool video thing,
yeah,
even if it's just a picture.
a couple of these games they did explicitly say like we're going to give this game away for free.
Yeah.
So I think that they're just trying to keep some kind of momentum. Here's the elephant in the room with Sony. They don't have a lot going on this holiday.
Yeah. It's
They
early
have-
next year. It's
Yeah, they
Horizon
they
and
have
Gran
nothing
Turismo
coming
and
out
stuff.
holiday.
Yeah.
As opposed to Xbox has Forza, Halo. They have a lot of things that have just hit Game Pass.
That's true, yeah.
Xbox
Yeah.
actually has a lot going on this winter, and so I don't know. It's just
But-
kind of interesting.
Well, and they
Halo-
had them early too, though.
With
PlayStation.
Halo, no leaderboards. So
yeah.
and maybe Sony said they wanted leaderboards
Did
for
you-
Horizon.
Did you guys watch the Halo Infinite
I did not.
6-minute like featurette thing they put out this week?
Did we get leaderboards?
No, I didn't even know that was.
Yeah,
there.
they did like a highlighting the campaign. It looks good. I'm gonna play it.
I've
I'm
seen
gonna
some
play it.
people-
Well, I think it's going to
playing
be
the-
free on Game Pass, isn't it?
It will be on Game Pass.
Yeah, it'll be on Game
Well,
Pass.
and the multiplayer is totally free, I think.
Yeah.
So
I've
I'll
seen-
definitely play in the multiplayer.
Yeah, I've been watching some people play the multiplayer. Like that looks just as fun as Halo ever did.
Multiplayer has
Yeah.
had great feedback. People love the sandbox. They love the new maps.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say this is the best Halo multiplayer really
Yeah.
since 3.
I mean, and that's
So-
a pretty bold claim.
Yeah, and like I'm in the same area you are, which is like, hey, Halo 3 is basically perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like if they do a good version of that sandbox today with like a little bit better graphics and
Yeah.
like a grappling hook and like new maps,
Yeah, the
like,
graphic
that's fun.
could be fun. Could
Yeah,
be a fun little
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Halo stuff, I played the last hangout I've done because I've not done many this month. Splitgate was the last one I did.
Yeah.
We played a little bit. I just remember when you were talking about it, but played with Pierce and Matt on there on the hangouts. That was pretty fun. You can check that out on the channel.
I'm loving that game.
I saw that you've been playing it more lately because the three of us did play it.
I thought it was fun. I did think it was just. I was like, oh, it's just like a little bit of Halo, and I did like the portal aspect. Once you got into that, it was like, oh, you can really change this up. But
Yeah.
it's
I just think it feels really good to play.
yeah, it
And
felt
that's
good.
kind of hard. Maybe that's getting to be easier. I don't know. I feel like good like gameplay feel was always like a barrier that was harder for small teams. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know if the engine tools that are out there have just gotten better, or there's just better like understood.
I will say it made me
Barrier to
go
entry
back and I
is lower.
actually did some online Halo 3 after playing it. I was like, it's like when you get like the the diet version of a soda and you really want the full version.
Yeah.
So I went back to Halo 3 and actually made me play that. So
The way I would
Yeah.
describe Splitgate, that's interesting. The diet soda, it's so streamlined
yeah,
that like I was wrecking people in that game
Yeah.
because it felt like Destiny with all of the difficult
Well, I was
to
gonna say
digest
like
variables.
you were super into Destiny and like that's right up your alley.
Yeah,
You
it
were
felt a
obliterating
lot like
people.
Destiny, just without all the powers and the overpowered stuff that
Yeah.
can kind of make it random a little bit. Like
Mhm.
I was slaying in a Splitgate,
Yeah.
and it was having
My only thing with Splitgate when we played, and maybe we just didn't do the right cues or whatever, was there was the one match type where it was like hold the ball or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but
Yeah, because
we just kept getting that same type over and over and over again.
If someone is good with the portals, you're screwed in that game.
Yeah,
because they can just they'll wrap around you and you can never catch them. That's one thing, you have to be good with the portals for that game.
It's the Fortnite problem. Like, I have a lot of fun with Fortnite, but then you run into kids that know how to build, and we say, they can build, run away, they can build. Because, like, that's when I'm out. Like, I can't, like, operate on that plane of thought.
It's like, I can do it, but it's like, I need a second so I can remember, okay, this button switches me to build mode, and it's like...
I love when we stream Fortnite, because, we scream every time we come up, he can build. There's just one main thing you need to know in that game how to do, and it's like, if he can do the one thing...
When we don't have to do that, we have no problem.
One thing I really liked about Splitgate was, like, normally, if, like, you poke your head out and this guy is sniping your whole team, which would happen in Splitgate, but you could poke yourself, like, if they're up high, I would, like, kind of shoot beside him a portal and then shoot it next to me, and I'd be behind him, boom. Because he'd be so focused on whatever, and I was taking out campers the whole game.
That was something I didn't think about it in those terms. What the portal does offer is you can't just sit back. And, like, I learned by playing Destiny to always move. So by playing a lot of Destiny, I've learned how to navigate maps and go down sightlines, and it's just intuitive to me now.
Yeah.
And protect myself. Like, I went on a run that was like 19 kills, no deaths. And, like, in Splitgate, when we first picked it up, because and I didn't know the maps, but it was very readable. Like, the language of the maps really made sense to me.
I feel like some of those maps where you could tell that's where it showed, like, the smaller studio. It's like some of these maps are great, and some of them are like,
I really enjoyed the game. I'm keeping it installed, and that's one this winter. I think that we tend to play more games as a group in the winter time.
Yeah, it's always winter.
You know, and I feel like that's one that we'll probably play a good bit of. And also Halo. I mean, I'm playing Halo Reach right now with my brother. We've been doing couch co-op, and I've never played through that one. And I'm liking it a lot. It's very different than the other Bungie Halos from my experience.
I honestly don't know that I finished that one. I think I started it, and
it literally reminds me of Rogue One. Like, it reminds me. Literally reminds me so much of Rogue One. Like, more of an ensemble cast. Like, not as much of what you're used to from the series. Like, Rogue One, there's no Jedis, and this, there's no, like, Master Chiefs. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I guess there's Spartans, but it's not the Master Chief, and you know, it's got a different tone. It's kind of interesting. So I'm liking it though. It's cool. It's cool.
Cool. It's awesome.
What have you been playing, Devin? Anything?
I've been playing a couple things. So I've been playing Luigi's Mansion. I've had that one for
a good spooky game.
Which one?
Is the third one that came out on Switch. Cool. And that's been really fun.
What did I get that?
Yeah, it's fun. If you love the Luigi's Mansion games, which I do, I love the one that was on the GameCube, and the second one. I actually played both of them on the 3DS.
If I've never played one, what's like the pitch? Like, what's the elevator pitch of those games?
Luigi is in a mansion. He's very scared of ghosts, and your whole time you're just trying to find ghosts and suck them up with your vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to do different things to bring the ghost out and whatever.
It's playing them in order. I think if you are interested in playing them in order, like, I think story-wise, it's just like Mario. It's a game.
Am I going to be missing really key plot?
Yeah, you're going to miss really key points, dude.
Yeah, you're going to miss the intricacies of King Boo. But the gameplay builds really well from game to game. Like, the first one is like, you catch ghosts, and you go from room to room, and you catch more ghosts. And there's a little bit of puzzles, but like that's kind of like that's the crux of the first game. The second game is lot more puzzles. You move. It's not just one mansion. You go from like spot to spot. So like the environment changes, and so like there's like a winter one that's like all frozen, and then there's all these different mechanics. And the third one kind of so far seems to be like a good blend of like we have a new mechanic of this Luigi, like where you kind of control a remote thing to do one half of the room, so you can go into the other part of the puzzle, almost like a co-op.
Yeah.
And it's just got a lot of cool mechanics. It just builds up really well.
That's really awesome. I've heard people love the third one.
Yeah.
Like, people like the whole series, but like when the third one came out, I saw like Giant Bomb had it in its top 10 games of the year, and there were some people in that group that really advocated for it.
It's a fun game. It's
really
very fun.
Yeah.
I want to pick that up and Pokemon Snap during Black Friday, I think. I want to try and get those for Christmas or something.
I've been doing that. I've also been playing Metroid Zero Mission, which I'm a decent bit of the way through. My goal was to play up all the other ones until Dread came out, and it's like I'm not even.
So remind me, have you played the other ones before?
No.
So you just started with Zero.
I just started with Zero just because I thought it would be a good way to play the first game.
So you're pretty far into Zero Mission from what you told me earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
How is it stacked up to like maybe what you expected or didn't know about the 2D series?
I'm glad I played Zero Mission and not like playing the first one on an emulator.
Yeah.
Because I've being able to have the map, like I don't think the actual first Metroid game really had like a map that you could look
The
at.
first Metroid game.
Some people might want to shoot me, but that first one's dated. Just play Zero Mission.
It's just I mean it came out like 30 years ago.
If you die, you're at the very beginning. Like
That's a pretty unanimous opinion, and it doesn't help the original Metroid that Zero Mission is a phenomenal remake.
Yeah, it's actually really just better.
And I'm very happy that I'm playing it on an emulator. Sorry, Nintendo.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
I need to be paying $50 for that.
Well, because like only being able to save. Because I remember I played Metroid Prime as a kid, and I remember that being so annoying. Like you can only save
kind of hard
at these one spots, and like it's like I have a kid. I'm playing late. Like I can't just. Well, I have to either do I play more or do I like. Yeah. You know, there's I feel like I'm in a chokehold the whole time. Like, what are you gonna do?
You should try Dark Souls.
I played out of order, and so for what was that? I played Super Metroid first. Okay. And I played on emulator, but I tried to just use the save rooms. But like, they had some long boss runs in that game. Yeah. And some of those bosses, I'm not good at these games. Like, I have to just trial and error. Yeah. Like, I have to just try a lot of different things. So I broke down eventually and just started using like save state right before the room. And then Zero Mission, I just didn't even think about it. Like, because it really is. Yeah.
One thing I will say, and that's just maybe my own expectations I put on myself. I'm impressed with how little I've had to look up stuff because I have no shame in like saying like I'm stuck. If I'm not having fun, I'm just gonna go look something up. Like I'm not gonna get frustrated. But like I've surprisingly only had to look up like one or two things, and it's things that I know are like common with the Metroid series. It's one of the complaints I've heard people say about Dread is like it's very easy to miss. You can't progress because there's a secret tunnel, or like that you have to find. But yeah,
those games are fun because you start out like really weak and then you get more powers and you're like, I mean that's what's fun about the Castlevania stuff too. Like, I got this power now, I can get up there at one place.
Yeah, and it does the good progression.
Yeah, it's very fun to explore those games. That's like
what I really liked about Zero Mission, because I played Super Metroid, and Super Metroid, like, I get why it's the, like, pinnacle, like, a lot of people treat it, and I really love that game. Super Metroid's phenomenal. I'm not saying it's not. Beautiful art design, really a darker atmosphere than Zero Mission, I would say. But Zero Mission was just so tight. Like, it didn't feel like they were wasting my time. Like, go back to that lava area a third time. And, like, Super Metroid did a little bit of that. Like, it's paced well, but I felt like Zero Mission was so snappy. Like, it was very clear what you kind of want to do next or what you can kind of do.
That's how I feel about any of these old games, like all the way from like Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, like these newer ones. Breath of the Wild is so much more of a tighter, well-designed game than Ocarina of Time. That doesn't mean Ocarina of Time sucks or like Super Metroid sucks. It just, they're way better designed, but you can still enjoy those atmospheres and those things that are extremely hard to recreate and you're usually playing these games when you're a kid and they stick with you on nostalgia there. But yeah, Super Metroid, there's been way better Metroid design stuff. That's still my favorite because of the mood and everything. Yeah, I'm a mood guy. Like, that's why Majora's Mask and like Breath of the Wild plays way better than Majora's Mask. But that mood and like, I'm a sucker for that. If you get me there, like, I'm just really.
Did that game ever get remade? Because I think
which one?
Super Metroid.
Because that's not true. I was gonna say Fusion. But like every other mainline,
the only one that's been remade is
one and
fan remake. Well, and they made Samus Returns on the 3DS. One. But then there's also a fan remake of that Metroid too.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Called AMR2 or ASMR.
AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake.
Maybe I have heard of
that. The debate there is interesting because I beat Zero Mission, and then my plan was to beat. Because I played 3. And I played Zero Mission. Yeah. And my plan was like, I'm going to play 2, and then I'm going to play Fusion before Dread. I eventually pivoted off of that, and I'm glad I did, because I'm really excited to talk about Dread. Dread is another one of these games. Like I would have probably been burned out if I tried to play 4 of them back to back.
Yeah. Because this is another Metroid with the one spicy thing being that freaking Emmy thing.
Yeah.
The robot comes out.
But AM2R and Samus Returns, I was really having a hard time deciding because that's different than Metroid versus Zero Mission. Most people say you should pick between AM2R or Samus Returns, but I watched a really good video that he's like, I played all 3 of these. I played them all through several times. There are things about that original Metroid 2 because it was made for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
And it was like a tighter screen. Mm-hmm. And that game is different than the other Metroid games where you don't unlock power-ups and go around the map. It's a tunnel that you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper.
I have played and beat
and you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
and then this thing happens at the end and you're trying to get out. And there's this really cool moment with a Metroid. And basically what they said was like, you can play AM2R. That's like a fun, fan, crazy. They add, it's in the Super Metroid type or Zero Mission engine. They add all sorts of cool things, cool music. Like it totally misses what made Metroid 2 really cool.
Okay.
And then Samus Returns, people are like, it feels really good, but like the environment design is not at all what. So like I couldn't decide which one to play. Sure. And so I just ended up not deciding.
Because I saw a lot of people, if I do end up playing more of these, I figured I would do the Samus Returns on the 3DS. One, just because I love the 3DS. It's fun.
I think that's the way to go. I don't have a 3DS. Like, it got good reviews. I think Samus Returns.
I never played that. When I own it, I never played it. So,
really?
I should. But I played all the other Metroids games.
Video Game Donkey liked it, so that's good enough for me.
And then I never played Fusion, and I want to get to Fusion. But,
Dread. Let's talk Dread.
Yeah,
dreading this.
Talk Dread.
You're dreading?
No, I like it. I have not been able to play any games lately. I've been extremely busy and went on a flight and said, it's game time, boys. So brought Dread along, and I do like it. It's like you said, like playing it's like it's another Metroid. Like it's not like doing crazy thing. It's just cool to have a new Metroid game for one. And 2, it's like, well, it's cool to actually, be able to play this on the Switch, like play a Metroid game on the Switch and playing.
Graphically, it looks beautiful from what I've seen.
Yeah, looks good and plays good. It's by the same people who did the Castlevania 3DS games.
And the Samus Returns.
And Samus Returns, okay. Which I played neither of those. But I do like it. I have one complaint. I love the feeling of it. It plays great. I love like aiming where I'm shooting at. The bosses are extremely fun. The freaking robot tries to get you. Emmy is its name. EMMI. I'm done with it. I am sick of it. It's sometimes you're in the mood for it. But like on the 18th time your friend scares you when you are coming downstairs, it's probably no longer a funny joke. You know what I mean? Like, there's sometimes I'm just trying to like, okay, I really need to get to the boss for tonight. Okay, I died for the 18th time because I just keep falling and it's just comical ways. If you could watch me play this game, I'm like running and I go to jump, but it's in a weird place and I just jump and I land on top of the Emmy. It's like, ooh. And then it does the freaking cutscene where it has you and it's like, oh, can you block this thing? And then at the beginning it says, you have a 1 in 1,000 chance to block this.
I blocked it.
Wait, does it really? Yeah, it's like it is so hard to block that thing.
So maybe So the
but other
Emmys,
times it's really fun, and you're in the flow state of like I'm going through here, and you're in a mood for it, and everything. Like you're running from it, and it's fun. But other times, like I just need to get back to where I accidentally went. Okay.
I really like the Emmys, and Jess keeps laughing because I'll just start these freaking Emmys like they get me. So the reason I like it is because I was not sure how I was going to feel. Basically, if you don't know, this is why they couldn't make this game forever. Is the Emmys
there were problems with the developers
after Fusion?
They keep getting spooked.
The guy, I don't know his name, but like the guy that does Metroid for Nintendo, he had this vision of like the Metroid games are very inspired by Alien, like extremely inspired by Alien.
Oh yeah.
And so he had this vision of like, I want to make a game where like there's a thing that stalks you,
like a predator.
Like a predator, yeah. And I haven't played Fusion. I think they implemented elements of stuff like that in Fusion, but like I didn't play it, so I can't really speak to that. But like he really wanted to make it, and so he had this vision of like this robot that like would be like a Terminator and like stalk you. And so when I saw that, like, and I understood what they were trying to do there, I was like, I don't want to always, like with Metroidvania, part of the appeal is running around and exploring. Like, I don't want to always be puckered up. Like, is this thing going to come and get me? Like,
and it's not like that.
And it's not like that. Basically the way the map is laid out is there's all the sections, right? But there will be very defined places where you can see it's an Emmy door, an entrance, a couple entrances, a couple exits, and it's like maybe between two zones.
So it's like that you're heading.
You know you're going into an Emmy zone when you're going into it, and you can leave. But like, if it sees you when you're in the zone, it starts running in your direction, and you have to hide or get out. And if it fully sees you, it'll put the whole zone on lockdown. And then there's some mechanics. You can try to stun it, but it's not very high probability. It's like trying to get off the hook in Dead by Daylight. It's like you might be able to do it, but like you shouldn't plan on it.
Yeah.
I think it adds a lot to the atmosphere of the game. They even like do like a film grain effect when you enter the Emmy zones and play like this unique sound and music and.
Like I said, like it's fun in spurts, but there's sometimes I'm like playing. I'm like, okay, I need to get to the save zone. Okay, I accidentally went the wrong way and I have to go back to the Emmy zone, but the way where it's at is like I keep landing on it accidentally, and I'm like so sick of it. So it's hit or miss for me.
Now, how has it? I was a little nervous when I first started going to the zones because you have nothing. There's nothing you can do to counter them.
Yeah.
But they introduced the cloak mechanic, which I use a lot, and that has helped a lot because I can find a spot and like cloak up,
and I'll cloak and it'll walk into me, and then
well, there's certain kinds of you'll learn its patterns. Like it'll crawl up walls. You have to like hang from things.
Yeah.
And bring your legs up and turn the cloak on.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it. Sometimes very not.
But I really like that.
The bosses are awesome.
The bosses are really phenomenal, and they're really cool because they do like these cinematic, like almost like God of War. Like they do these cinematic moments where like the camera is no longer 2D; it's like a 3D action like scene. And you would think, okay, I'm not controlling the character, but you can actually keep firing your rockets. During those scenes.
That's pretty cool.
And they're really fun. I've only fought 2 bosses. I've not had a lot of bosses.
I think we just talked for this. We're at the same boss we just beat.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would be considered a spoiler or not. Is it like is like Kraid in it? Is Ridley? Because I feel like it's the same 3 or 4
I haven't
bosses.
Seen any boss. I haven't seen
in
the
all
boss
the
that we just fought reminded me of Kraid.
I think that
may have been Kraid.
Yeah,
but
I think that was a boss from us.
Because that's what I've like having only played half of the first one. I know that like it's the same monsters and all.
But it's like I like Ganon or Zelda in Zelda game. They're gonna be in there somewhere. Like
but these are supposed to be.
That would be stupid if Ridley's
more connected. But
that's what was always weird, even to me when like. And they got to change it up. They tried to, like, when Zelda games started to not have Ganon in them. It was just, like, those Phantom Hourglass and Spear Tracks and stuff. They started having different bosses.
Like Twilight Princess.
Yeah, they started, like, and it's like, oh, where's Ganon at? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's, like, the main guy.
Yeah.
That's like the encore. You gotta bring it out.
Yeah. It's like Palpatine, man. In a snow.
He's always there.
Except Palpatine was, guess what? Palpatine's back. Ooh, okay. Who asked? Nobody really accepted.
So, my only, like, the game feels very snappy. It's fun. I like the look of it. 2 things that are a little bit, like, they're not, like, major criticisms, but one of them is I've now unlocked 3 areas in the game. And so normally in these games, like Criteria and Brinstar and, in these games, like, the areas are really distinct in their atmosphere. Like, this place is very swampy, and it's got a very memorable soundtrack. And this isn't because I was a kid when I played them. I played these last year. Like, I never touched these games before this last year. So, like, the Brinstar music and, like, there's just really memorable atmospheres. This is all good in this game, but, like, everything's kind of like a factory. With like a little bit of a cave area here, and a little bit of a hot area here, and a little bit of a swamp. Like I've been in 3 zones, and they all have the same biomes, but they've got different names.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at.
So I don't know where I'm at. Like at any given time, if you show me a screenshot, I could not tell you if I'm in. I actually don't Cretini. Like I don't even know their names.
Cretini, Aardvark,
and Dorian. You know, like
and
it
Denmark.
literally, like
That's all I know.
So that is becoming a problem the longer I play because I'm having a really hard time. Like I look at the map and I've been a lot of places.
Yeah. I only know
And
if I've been to somewhere if I hover over and it says question mark on that item. Or like, ooh,
well, that gets a little bit to my second complaint, which is the map. It's good and it's got all the information I would want. I find it hard to read. Like I'm having a hard time. Like, wait, this thing with the 3 things, is that a power door? Have I opened that? Have I not opened it?
You gotta hover over and study it.
You have to go and hover over things.
the door, and it's like, oh, that's a new door.
But it's doing a good job of like, I feel like in the old ones, it was like rocket, super rocket, regular shot. Like there's 4 ways to open a door. This game is interesting. Like I've got 12 ways to open different doors, and there's lots and lots of different things. So the game's doing a good job of reminding me and showing me, but I've had to, this all culminates in a couple times. I have the IGN walkthrough, and like there's a rundown of like this area, go get this power up. This area, get this power up. This area, fight this boss. And it's like a rundown of the 26 things you need to do in order to beat the game. And so like if I'm in an area and I'm not like sure what I'm trying to do, I'll just look at that and be like, okay, yeah, I'm in the right place. I'll dig around, or I should probably go to this other place. Like it gives me an order because this one has you jump between areas. Now I've unlocked this teleporting mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's even more disorienting me. Like I just don't know. Like
yeah.
Once I defeat a boss or get a power up, I just kind of see what it lets me do. And if I get lost, I'm just looking up the next place because like it's kind of throwing me all over the place. But
yeah, it's hard to. I've had to do that with past Metroid games. Like, where do I go? I'm totally lost right now. And
yeah,
I feel like I haven't had to look up anything so far for this game. Probably will, especially like.
Well, I had to do it partially.
Not playing as often as I need to.
I had to do it partially because of the Emmy zones too. One, I kept playing it and then not playing it for like a week.
No wonder you don't hit the Emmy zones. You're not running back and forth like I am through them.
Well, I'm running through them, but the Emmy zones, like they're pretty big sometimes, and they look like they go different directions.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I went down, and now like I can't go back up. So like, is that good? I assume that's good. Whoever designs these maps, though, to basically because there's no fail states, as far as I can tell. Like, there's no way to mess it up. You have to have like a doctorate level, design intelligence because they're extremely complex.
Yeah.
Like power-ups on power-ups on power-ups, going through the same areas, teleporting around, like that's a labor of love. And it really is a good game. Even with those nitpicks aside, it's a very good game. And
cool.
It's a great surprise on the year. I mean, we didn't even know when they first showed this. We were like, is this Prime? And then it's like, Metroid 5, what's going on?
Yeah.
It quickly became something I was really excited to play. So
Metroid Dread.
It's good.
Don't dread it. Anything else we've been playing?
I've been playing a few things. Anything else you've been playing? Oh, you haven't really been playing.
That's it.
Oh, another game that I don't think either of you will care to play, but I think we should play sometime is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
Yeah.
I'll play that. We were doing hangouts of that.
We planned on it, and we're going to. We're still going to do that soon.
It
somehow
is very fun. It's fun. Like, if you're not into like competitive platform fighters, you could probably never know that this game exists.
Yeah.
But
I watched Donkey play it. Is it is it kind of janky or not janky, but like it seems like he was like doing one thing and like killing everybody?
He was, well, yes, because they did just release a patch that has helped bounce it a little bit more, but like it's some people are seeing it as not polished. And I don't see it that way. I see it as it's just very fast game. Like there's not as many animations as you might see in like an Ultimate or
for the Nickelodeon animation characters.
Yeah, so like in Melee and Ultimate and all the Smash games, there's a thing called jump squat.
Yeah.
So like between when you hit the jump button and when you actually jump, there's so many frames of like bending the knees before you know. Where it's like there's only one character in that game that has jump squat, and it's part of how the guy just wanted to design it. But like he's very intentionally knowing the guy. He's Thaddeus Cruz is his name.
Thaddeus Cruz.
He's like one of the leads on it. He's very open about being like, I know this is like a Nickelodeon game. Like it's literally based on cartoons from the last 50 years, but like he's made others like small indie fighters that Nickelodeon brought him on to do this. And like, so the Melee scene has been freaking out and they absolutely love it. All the Smash scene, really.
That's so cool. Because when this was first kind of like, there's a couple of YouTube channels I watch where like I kind of get a vibe for things that are coming out that are more under the radar. And this guy was joking. He's like, this might be the best thing ever. Like, he's like,
well, there was a tournament recently and there were more entrants because part of it was just because it's what all Smash people can play. But like at a Smash tournament, it had more entrants than any of the Smash games put together.
Shit.
I was
Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl.
What I was thinking was I've always felt like that style of fighter is kind of underserviced.
Oh,
because Smash is so good at it. I think and
no one else
PlayStation had a really bad like attempt, like that nobody else tries it, and not a lot of other people.
PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah, not a lot of other people have like maybe the IP to do it. Maybe that's part of what stops it. But like I've always felt like there's a market there for people that as much as they devour those Smash games. Like
well, and that's the thing is. So there's really only like a handful of platform fighters that really do well. Smash being the biggest one, Rivals of Aether, which is another one that kind of goes up and down in popularity. They have a new game they're working on, Nickelodeon All Stars, and then actually this week it was probably like a planned leak, but there's a Cartoon Network is doing their own platform fighter.
Dude.
I saw that.
We're gonna get cow and chicken.
Well, and I get the vibe, and I think that we've been here before. I'm not the biggest Smash guy. You probably know better than I do.
Yeah.
I really felt like when they said Smash Ultimate is like kind of the end, like I really got the impression that they really meant it.
I think my perception is I think most likely it's going to be the last one that Sakurai does.
Yeah.
Because he's made all of them. He's the guy that made Kirby.
Dude, they should bring Thaddeus Cruz on to do this next Smash.
Do you feel like the Smash community is open to Smash without Sakurai? It's not like a Kojima situation where it's like story based or something.
Yeah,
but
I think
to a degree.
I think people would.
It's the same because like the people that play Ultimate will probably most likely move on unless it's just incredibly bad. They will still probably move on to the next one. People that play
Melee always has Melee's its own weird
Melee
thing.
is literally never going to die, and it'll go up and down in popularity and stuff, but
it'll always be
like there's literal documentaries that you can go watch that are you could spend 10 hours watching documentaries all about the Smash history because it really is a varied history. The game's been out for 20 years now, a little over 20 years, and the people that have come and gone and. Like we're starting to see some of all the biggest players that have been there for the whole thing are like now starting to retire because they're like getting in their 30s and even 40s and like they're like okay like I'm ready to do something else or they know that it's not long term so they start investing in other stuff. But yeah, that's it. It would be a fun one for us to do hangouts because it is so wacky, goofy, but it's really fun. I'm enjoying playing that a little bit.
That's awesome. Well, I am playing a couple things. I beat 2 things.
What the heck did you play?
I beat Dishonored, Definitive Edition.
Oh, you're playing the first Dishonored?
Yeah, I played Dishonored, and I talked about it a little bit last time. I was a little bit into it. It's weird because like I beat it immediately after we finished. Like, I just blew through it in a weekend after we did the last. So I'm a few weeks removed from it. That game's amazing.
That game rules.
I love that. Was like potentially my favorite game from that generation. Just about.
It became my game of whatever that year was, 2012,
something like that.
That game like just freaking rules.
That Journey was my favorite that year.
I just love the world was really unique. The levels were great.
It was fun to like teleport, boom, cut that guy, go over here, you can change stuff.
And it reminded me a lot of Hitman, which I love Hitman. And it reminded me a lot of Hitman because Hitman's like that, where it's just like several levels, But I love the game. It was fantastic, and I will definitely be playing the second one at some point.
Yeah, the second one's been on my wish list for forever. I know it wasn't as well received, but a lot of people do still like it.
A lot of people like it. I was going back because I remember getting that impression, and I see a lot of people love it. It was the performance and performance issues.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, because I skipped it too. I seen people weren't too jazzed about it, but
well, and it was also part of what screwed that game was that Bethesda in 2016, 2017, they got on this weird kick where like, and I think they're still doing it this way, where like they weren't giving press advanced copies of their games. So reviews weren't ready before the game came out. That happened to Doom 2016. And then it happened. And so the Evil Within 2, Doom 2016, and Dishonored 2, that happened to all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there was just this weird vibe around all three of those games when they came out. They're like, oh, maybe they're not good because they didn't give review copies. Doom obviously overcame that, but those other two did not. And they did not sell well at all. But I just loved it. Like, Hitman is like trying to figure out how am I going to do this. It's like a puzzle level, you know, and this was very much similar. So I love that you could find ways to not kill them and like you know, whatever the solution is. It was just really fun.
Well, and that's the kind of game too you could go back very easily and do a second playthrough right after the first one, but like just choose different powers, decide to be more pacifist or less pacifist, or you know. Very cool game.
So that became an instant classic to me, and one that like I will rep. And also, what I didn't expect was I've been getting the itch to play a Half-Life game, and I did not realize how much connective tissue there was between Half-Life 2 and Dishonored.
Really?
So a few things. Number one, the art director for Dishonored is the art director for Half-Life 2. And when I started playing Dishonored, I was like, this looks like Half-Life, like the world. It looks like City 17. Like when you look out on the city and the big walking like things,
I guess so.
I was like, this looks like Half-Life. And like weird, like when you would pick things up in first person and move them around and the physics type stuff, it reminded me of Half-Life. But the other thing is, and there's a great No-Clip did a great documentary on this, the company that makes those games,
Arcane Studios.
Arcane. They, after they did whatever their game before Dishonored was, but before they did Dishonored, they worked on a few different projects that got canceled, and one of the projects that they worked on for 4 years was a Half-Life episode DLC for Valve. They developed a canceled DLC called Return to Ravenloft. And if you watch the No-Clip documentary, they developed that, and so they worked on Half-Life 2 content for like 3 years that never saw the light of day.
That's why that game's good.
So when that got canceled, that's when they put all their eggs, like, we're going to go make a new IP, and they made Dishonored, and it was after they had been working on Half-Life for 3 years.
They should have called it Full Life 1.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of, and that was great money saver, because I was like, I'm going to buy Deathloop, I think. And then I was like, I never played Dishonored. I should play Dishonored first. I got it here. And so that was, I'm glad I did that. Still haven't gotten to Deathloop, but I did that. I also played Ori and the Blind Forest.
How'd you like that? That's one that's been on my list for a long time.
I liked it. I think it's a good game. Just a lot of people for a long time were like hyping it as like like I saw people saying it's one of the best games ever made, like putting it in that air. I don't feel that way about it at all. Like,
gotcha.
As far as a Metroidvania, like I much prefer like a Hollow Knight, right? Like, it just, the combat was just really one-dimensional to me. You just jam X, and you also were very weak, so you just died a lot. So, but it had good platforming, memorable, kind of environments, very touching kind of story. I liked it. Good music. I liked it, I would say. Definitely worth playing. It's a shorter game. But I know you said it's been on your list. I think you'd like it a lot. You should definitely check it out. I think maybe just it was hurt a little bit by like people constantly like saying, this game is amazing. And I'm gonna play the new one, Will o' the Wisps.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say it's even better than the first one, right? But I actually hear that it addresses some of my complaints, which is like the combat's there's a little bit more to it. So yeah, like I'm not going into that game expecting Dark Souls, but like it didn't feel great to fight the enemies in that game, and you fight a surprising amount of enemies in that game.
Gotcha.
So, but it was a good like little platformer Metroidvania type game. It was good. Not as good as Metroid Dread. It was good.
It's good.
And then I started Returnal. I'm too early to give major impressions, but I will just say that game is awesome. Like it plays like phenomenal, like a next gen experience through and through. On the same level as like a Demon's Souls. Like it just feels so, it uses every single ounce of what this thing can do
Okay.
All of the advanced rumble features are amazing. They use the adaptive trigger stuff for like multi-pool, like weapon stuff. And I was a little bit worried because I'm a little fatigued on like these types of games where you do runs after playing a lot of Hades, which I never finished. I like Hades, but because Hades is just so.
I never finished Hades.
It's good, but it's just so much
I'm sick
like
of that going back.
you're picking up all these different things and you're reading and you're trying to do the stats and make the right decisions.
They do it better, but I just didn't have a drive. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, same for me. This game is much more focused on just the action gameplay. So like. You'll get a gun, and like that's your gun for the run, and like it's not as much stat configuration, and it reminds me so much of like Alien and Prometheus with the art direction. And you go in these tombs that remind me of like the Chalice dungeons from Bloodborne, like art direction, gameplay.
Yeah, the art
awesome.
Looks cool.
And it's fun to play because the enemies, at least the ones I've found that fight you, they shoot like bubbles and they shoot like these rows. It reminds me of Nier a little bit of like you're trying to dodge like it's very it's not like the bullets, it's bullet hell almost. Yeah. So I'm really liking it. We'll see. And they just added the perfect timing. They added like an update that like lets you suspend your game. So like
cool, that's a good update.
So you don't have to
That was going to be my
parent.
question.
That's got to be the update of the year.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question because I saw a lot of people that said, I love this game. It crashed every whatever.
Yeah, so the problem was they really wanted it to be a game that you played as a run and you can pause the game, but like they wanted it to be like you don't like save it and walk away. But it takes like 4 hours to do a complete run, is what I hear.
Okay.
I have not run into that problem yet because I die pretty quick. But like But like, my gosh, like that's crazy. Like, and so they finally like what they recommended people do is like, well, you can pause it and put it in rest mode, but the game was crashing, so people were just like losing their game.
Yeah.
So I was like, it sucks. This is right down my alley, but $70 plus that issue, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So then it was on sale for like $55 or whatever, and I was like, I'll do that. And then they announced this update. So,
and then I wasn't even planning on getting this because it's another roguelike, whatever. And I was at a yard sale. And I walk up, and they had Returnal there for $25. And I said, "Would you take 20? I said, "Would you take 20 for it?" And he said, "Yeah." So I got Returnal for $20. I was like, $20. I'll try it out for $20. So,
2024 prices right there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So that's the games I've been playing.
Cool.
Right on.
You know who also is announcing games? You know, Sony's doing their state of play, but Mark Zuckerberg, the most human person on planet Earth, announced Grand Theft Auto is coming to their VR thing. Did you see that?
To Oculus?
Yeah, it's coming to Oculus.
Really? I did not hear that.
So it was a bunch of stuff. I just saw a lot of funny videos. People kind of
well, that wasn't the big announcement.
Yeah, their big announcement is that they're changing their name. Not like Facebook's still going to be Facebook, the social media site, but their name was Facebook.
The company.
Oh, like the company, okay.
And they are changing it to Meta. Because Zuckerberg woke up one day. Well, I think that dude, as much as he is an alien and not a human, that guy, I think, does know where we're headed, like with the Metaverse. So that's why they changed the name to, they really went that strong on it. It's called Meta.
Yeah, he does. It is a smart move to take that and co-opt that name. But like, it's kind of a big problem right now is the Metaverse is a concept is being talked about by a lot of companies. And I read a great article in the Washington Post from a writer I really like named Gene Park. He writes a lot about Metaverse, and he wrote an article that was like, it's very frustrating to see Mark Zuckerberg come out and talk about these things he wants to do that other companies are already doing. And now he's taking that name Meta and saying, we're going to do this in the next 10 years. And it's like, dumb idiot. Like, companies are already doing a lot of the stuff you're saying.
Yeah.
And it is a frustrating thing.
But that is, I mean, it's the same thing with Apple or whatever. Like, if Apple gets a hand on something or like, you know, Facebook, these are big players and they can really, like, they have the accounts and they have the capital to really shoot the technology. Like Microsoft with their little, their glass, the lenses. What's it called?
HoloLens.
HoloLens, yeah. Like that kind of stuff, like, ooh, that's like, they're putting a lot of money behind it in R&D. So that side of it is like, that's a bigger part of it. But yeah, I can't wait to give all my information over, like, of my VR.
Well, they also announced they're doing...
What
information do you have left?
They also announced they're doing away with Oculus as a brand. So like the
Well,
headsets,
that's cool, right when it's said now.
the headsets and all that will still work, but they're rebranding Oculus as Meta Rift and Meta Quest.
I was about to be pissed because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm like, you know,
The Oculus Quest
VR
2
is like
a
it's-
So just wait till they
starting to
release
get-
the Meta Quest.
Because I was gonna say the second one, it's like it's
but
affordable. It can be wireless, or you can use it with your
so I'm
freaking
watching
PC,
these
like-
videos and I am like, oh yeah, like they have the Oculus and stuff, and then we had like a Halloween party and Jacob had the Oculus out and was like using it. It's a cool device or whatever. And then I'm like, yeah, that thing rules. I really think I'm gonna get one. It's cheap, it's whatever. And then I go, I have to plug my Facebook.
No, they just announced that you don't.
Oh, you don't anymore?
That's part of this change is you don't have to connect it anymore.
You don't have to connect anymore.
You don't have to connect Facebook.
Oh, then
to your-
Zuckerberg rules.
That was part of this announcement is they're getting rid of the Facebook requirement.
Okay,
for,
because that's been my biggest holdup. I'm like, that thing looks cool. Like I break and just turn 180. I go, oh yeah, I have to like plug that in. But
yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
then that rules.
Well, then I saw today it was trending.
Then I trust them.
I saw on Twitter
Oh, well,
today.
then I'll give my social security number. What am I talking about?
I saw on Twitter today it was trending with like 60,000 tweets. Delete Meta. So I was like, that didn't take long. That didn't take long at all. Yeah, no,
I was cracking up. I saw somebody. The edits are so funny of the. Because, like, I just feel like the guy is just meme fuel. Like, just whenever he is trying to be human on a camera, this is going to be fun, and you will work here with your friends. And, like, this is just so hilariously dystopian that it's like, whatever. But someone took an edit that cracked me up, and it was like, you can put this on and go wherever you would want to go and see experiences you've never seen. And it, like, took the same effect from the video. It pixelated. But then it went to the January 6th insurrection, and they're like in the middle of that. Because somebody used that camera, you know, like your footage.
Someone's edit.
Yeah, somebody's edit, like. But it was like, it was so perfect of an edit. It was like, you can go wherever you want. It was somebody's like handheld thing. Like people were walking by and hitting each other or something. But you can go wherever.
Man. I think it's a smart move to change their name, and I do think it's a smart move to steal the word that everybody's been using to describe this concept of
like they are going so hard into it that it's like good luck, but can't wait to be in the metaverse, guys. What are you at? Are you guys excited? Like this is where we're going.
I got
like, 150%.
It is. No, it is, and it's. I feel like everybody understands that, but then you get like pulled back into like reality of where people's heads really are. Like, I was at a work trip this last week, and like I was talking with he's a really smart guy. He's in his mid-30s. He's not a gamer though. Like, and so he's like he doesn't understand crypto. Like he's very smart, like very good with a lot of the. Like he was like, I don't buy it, and like I started talking about like metaverse stuff, and like he's like, nah, I don't think that'll be a thing. Like, and like I started talking about like cyberpunk type things of like. You know, like Neuralinks. He's like, we're not going to need that. And I was like, you know, like I actually am pretty far ahead of like a lot of other people. Like a lot of people,
really easy.
A lot of people do not realize how real this stuff is.
I think millennials, some Gen Xers are in it. I don't know. Crap
He's a little bit.
Boomers are out of it. They're not going to be in the metaverse.
Can you imagine being a boomer trying to keep up with what's about to happen? Like I'm having trouble with some of this stuff, but you just throw yourself into it. Like, well, I'll figure it out.
Our parents are getting their brain hacked, like Ghost in the Shell level stuff. They're gone.
Because I blew.
I think millennials and Zoomers and stuff. They're gonna be.
I blew his mind because I started talking about. We were talking about Neuralinks. Like, what would be the purpose? And like, I started kind of talking about like, what about like if like you have a company, like it's way more efficient if everybody has that for like the community. People aren't gonna be able to speak. People won't even talk to have communications.
Yeah.
Like they'll just like literally. He was like he was doing the math. What? Like
that gif of all the equations.
Yeah. Well, he's like, but we're not close to that. I was like,
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen there's a podcast I follow, and they were talking about it's a small indie game dev team. They were talking about this GitHub tool. I don't remember what it's called, but like where it essentially is like predictive code, and so like. He was talking about like there's this function I have to do every once in a while, but it's not often enough I ever remember it. And he like typed in the first word and it like produced like half of this thing he was about to write. And he's like, we're gonna be able to like plain text program stuff. And it's like, it's
low code, no code. It's kind of already a thing.
It's already a thing, but it's the barrier to entry with that kind of stuff.
It's not programming level, but I hate when it's really good is why I hate it. But when I'm writing an email and it like has the entire sentence, like like when I'm writing to people on email and I'm like, I need to phrase this away, and I'm like, I type in like 2 letters and it's like it fills up the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but I'm not gonna do that now. I gotta change it. I'm like, no, that's not who I am, robot. Yeah, that's. I feel like when Apple gets their glasses out, it's gone, and like that tied with the NFT stuff that's going on, and like when I walk by you and you're gonna have that little chihuahua with the golden like a ruby on its head. It's like, yeah, he paid $1,000 for that, and I really want the golden chihuahua with the ruby on its head. I have to buy it. I have to have. You know what I mean? Like you have that chihuahua. It's like all like the stuff that's on Fortnite with getting these little like skins and stuff, but in real life, I'm gonna walk by like you're gonna see people's like social score and all this stuff, and good luck, but it's gonna be weird. And Zuck is gonna help us out. We're gonna get zucked, all of us.
I said, you see my tweet? He wants to be everybody's meta daddy.
Yeah, I can't wait to give over all my vital information to that, but. It'll be cool sometimes. I think the coolest thing I think about, and they kind of showed it during the meta stuff or whatever, is like right now, like if I'm going, like he was showing work or whatever, but like when you have these glasses or whatever on and you're in this universe or metaverse, whatever, like if I enter the GPS zone of like work or whatever, boom, it's going to pull up all the data. Like here's all the stuff from today. Like it's going to know where you're at and give you that relevant information. I think that's like powerful. Like, using that, it's like, oh, okay, because even when I like plug into my car, it's like, hey, we notice, and it already knows, like, you go on Tuesdays a lot to such and such, and it already gives me GPS, and it's like, here's the time to get there, here's traffic, whatever, like, that kind of stuff is cool, but will we trust Zuck?
I think you just have to look at stuff and be like, 50 years from now, will this even be a consideration? And if the answer is no, you got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Like,
kinda, yeah.
If it's not
I was surprised on TikTok seeing all these videos, like people were like kind of little clips of the little parts from that video. I was surprised the comments were like, try reality. Like I was a shocking amount because there's a lot of like younger people, because of course on TikTok, you know, a lot of people were saying like, yeah, I like reality, but other people were saying like, there was some people like, yeah, this is the future, this is cool. But
it could be a big divide. You could find a cultural divide of some that really embrace it and some that really reject it, and that could be interesting.
Yeah,
like,
but that's it's gonna be a weird world.
Like, you know, you live in like one country and there's another country. Like, there's that's like a physical like spectrum. Yeah, that there will be like a where do you engage from the metaphysical to the physical spectrum, like. So you may be in the same country with someone, but live in a very different existence than them by choice.
Yeah. 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 Where do you be?
Could be really interesting. So, all right. Well, that.
Okay. I feel encouraged now.
You brought up San Andreas. So I will say they showed the remaster of 3 and Vice City and San Andreas.
I completely missed on that.
I have a thing about this. So. The screenshots for these, like when you look at screenshots or whatever, they look really underwhelming, right? Mm-hmm. But like when you see it in action, you just like really just like it looks awesome. Yeah. Like it looks fun.
I saw one thing where they were driving at night, and that looked a lot radically different. Yeah, like with the rain effects and like the reflection on the ground and stuff, and the sun or the sunbeams or whatever on the car. But
I'm like really down to revisit those games with better. It's got GTA 5 style shooting and driving. So
I would go to my friend's house and play these because they were mature games, and I was never going to bring Grand Theft Auto game home. But I didn't want to. I wasn't really into that. But I would like go to my friends, and he had San Andreas, and he put in the cheat codes, and we drive a helicopter around, and that was fun. So. I kind of am interested to maybe check these out for the first time, like playing through them and stuff. This is probably the coolest time to do it. So.
I'm gonna buy them. I am really looking forward to replaying 3 because I beat 3.
I would start with 3. Yeah,
I beat 3 and I beat 4. I never played Vice City and I never beat San Andreas. So like I've been more of like a mainline GTA guy. Like I like the other ones, but 3 just has such a great atmosphere, and it's like a rainy, like Liberty City, like. Really, just
what's that one supposed to be like? Kind of Florida?
Which one? Vice City.
That one's 3.
That's Vice City.
Oh, okay.
3 is Liberty City. It's like 4. It's like 4, but you're like in the Italian kind of mob type scene. Very like Sopranos inspired is what I've heard. Vice City is in the 80s in like a Miami type setting, and then San Andreas is in the 90s in like an LA, Colorado. Like San Andreas is notable because it was the first one that was like, oh, it's not just the city, it's the whole state. Like you can go dirt biking, and you can go to the prison, and you can go. And so I'm really looking forward to getting that and replaying 3 and. The more time that goes by, GTA 5 is a cool game, but like it didn't do it for me the way 4 and 3 really did. Like I didn't.
Yeah, I want to actually play those because 5, I really loved the 3 characters bouncing back and forth and stuff. And
I like that too.
It was cool, but I'm excited for that. I'm ready to. I would play that on my original Xbox 3, and they had a cool feature where like you could install CD music onto your Xbox, and then you could play it in the cars.
Yeah.
So I had like a Red Hot Chili Peppers album, like the Californication album, like area kind of like, and I would just drive in that game. I was like the perfect age. I was like 12, so like I couldn't drive in real life. Like I wanted to be out driving. And I would drive at night with all the rain and do little mob jobs and listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers. So like I have a lot of nostalgia.
You know, I hate to take this back to the metaverse stuff, but like you getting in the mood and driving and stuff. I was like thinking when I was watching some of these clips, like, have you done like a driving thing in VR and stuff? Like that is extremely immersive. And like, because at one point you're like, oh, you're going to get distracted in technology or whatever. But like, because they were mentioning one thing on the metaverse of like work. And it's like, you can be like in a beach. They put you in a beach. Like, that's the last place I want to work is a freaking beach. But I was like, well, you would, like when I put on my PlayStation VR, like if I'm playing a video game, I might look at my phone. And be distracted. Like if the game is doing something slow or loading or whatever. But like when I put on that PSVR and I have to put on the headphones,
you're fully immersed.
I cannot.
You're not doing anything.
I cannot do anything else. I can't talk. I can't be on my phone. I can't multitask. I can't whatever reply to a message. I'm in that game completely. So it's like, well, like maybe that is a good place to work. Like I'm actually, if you can take all my surroundings out, I can actually maybe get some more.
You can make it comfortable enough.
Stuff done. But going back on the like getting in the mood and driving and stuff.
That sounds like something that they want employers to sign off on like, hey, make your people wear these helmets.
And lock it, and they can't take it off.
Honestly, like that's probably what's happening.
We've noticed that employee 127 has removed his.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive. That seems, with the way people are reacting to like working from home and stuff like that, I don't know. That seems...
that's going to be an interesting
When I worked at a programming job, this was back in 2013, 2014, I would joke with people. I'm like, I would be at my desk and I'm like, why am I here? I just want to put on a headset. Why can't I put an Oculus set on and work from home? And it's the same thing. And then like I can walk into work, but I'm at my and then like what's so funny is like we were living it because of COVID
that's where we're headed.
Like everything got really pushed ahead because of COVID. And it's like, here we are. And my joke from 2014. That's the reality we live in. Dune came out.
It did.
Dune. Not 1983 or 4 or whenever that one came out. I forget.
2021.
2021. Now this got pushed back because of COVID.
Yeah, it was going to be last year, wasn't it?
I think so. And something called COVID happened. I don't know if you heard about it, but it pushed back all these millions of movies.
Do you remember like 6 months ago, 9 months ago? It was probably a year ago when they were. We didn't know what was going to happen with Dune because we didn't know if we were ever going to have theaters again. And,
I didn't know if I was going to be able to
we
feed my
talked
family
on the
again.
podcast about a little report came out that like that guy was the guy that directed this, Denis Villeneuve, which we should talk a little bit about him in general because he's become one of my favorite directors. He was like stitching things together because like they had to cancel like some of the shooting and like it was a complete mess in terms of trying to make this movie during COVID. Like they had to shut production down and stuff. And now it's a thing. They finished it and it exists. So
and I have been very excited for it. And this past month has been crazy in my like life, like busy wise. And I was like, I was wanting to see it in the theater, and I was like, it's not gonna happen. I cannot like get out and schedule a time, whatever. So I watched it on HBO Max.
You watched it on HBO Max?
Yes.
I did too.
I saw this shit in IMAX, dude. Like
I wanted to.
I can't even tell you. Like I don't even know. Like, dude, this movie ruled in IMAX. it just was a complete.
That would be the perfect.
It
movie
was
for
a complete, like, I felt like I was telling Jess, because we're going to see it on Sunday with my siblings, and I just came home and I was like, I need you to go see it. I need someone else to see this movie. Me and Sam saw it. We were like bouncing out of our seats.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is the
It's very
biggest.
loud.
It is loud, and it is the biggest, like, I've always been like I like the theater experience.
Yeah.
And I like it for big movies, like Nolan movies and stuff. But, like, if I have to watch them on TV, like, I'm not going to cry about it. Like, this kind of reinforced for me, like, some things really, like, your first experience,
Yeah.
it can make such a difference to see it on the big screen. Because it felt like I was in a different freaking universe. Like, it just, man, it was awesome. So,
Yeah, even watching at home, I was just like, this is like loud. Like I had to keep changing the volume and stuff. But
yeah.
Here is my thoughts on Dune. I did not like this movie, and I was very excited for this movie. I thought it looked cool from the trailers and stuff. Here's my viewing experience. I had Friday to myself, the entire house, just myself. I turned off all the lights, got in the zone for this movie. Started up. Okay, I'm zoned in. I'm ready to get lost in this world. Now, I have seen the original Dune movie from Lynch. Lynch himself does not like Dune from Lynch. The problem with that first one was they tried to like pack in everything in, and it was like so like all this expository, like here's this and here's what this means and whatever else. I was like, let's see what this. I know they're probably gonna do sequels to this movie, whatever else. But this movie starts, and already for me, like 45 seconds in, I went, because I was like, I wonder if they should just make a TV series. Why don't they just do a TV series to Dune? Like, let's just really take our time. And I'm also spoiled from the Game of Thrones. This takes years and like takes times with their characters or whatever else. And this movie starts at 45 seconds in. I'm like, because within that first 45 seconds of someone saying the ding dongs are fighting the Harcharians, and the Harcharians always battle, and they're talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, because I am someone that just likes to sit in something and like really like make me care about these characters and make me care about this stuff, and I don't feel like this film did that at all. And I don't even like knock it because it is so much content they're trying to stuff into this movie and trying to get you caught up. And I don't even think, I think they did the best what they could, but like I literally did not care about any of these characters. And I have a funny comparison for you. But at the end of it, I was like, because I've been thinking about the past couple of days, like what was my problem with this movie? And there's other stuff I'm going to talk about, but I actually thought of Last of Us Part 2 a little bit with this movie, and I was like, I think Travis is gonna like this movie, and I did not like it because it has in Last of Us 2 incredible, nothing beats it in like world and stuff, and same with this, nothing beats Dune in how they're building this world, and there's cool ships and stuff, and there's like that side of it, yeah, that I really enjoyed being part of this world and seeing cool stuff pop up. But I'm towards the end, and I'm like, I could care less what happens to these characters right now. Like, they keep showing me, and there's a flashback. The main character's name's Paul. What's the little dude's name, the main character?
Paul Atreides.
Yeah. Paul Atreides, whatever. This little dude I'm calling him a little dude. He's probably not that. What is he, 16, 17, whatever? But I wasn't connected with him at all. I wasn't connected with any of the characters. I know Paul's name. I know Duncan, which is the wrestler guy's name. And I know the Baron. I can't. Yeah, but I could not tell you any of the other characters' names. The Philippians. What are the Philippians that are in the desert?
The Freeman.
The Freeman. Okay. The Philippians is who I kept calling them. I was like,
Freeman.
Okay, but there's just so many names and all this other stuff. I'm not even knocking it because the lore is of course it's what Dune is known for. But to me, I feel like I need that. Maybe that's just me being dumb. I'm just a dumb person, like trying to digest this movie. I need that stuff spread out, and I feel like trying to crunch this into a 2.5 hour thing was like problematic for me. So I was like, an hour and 30 minutes in, I actually did shut it off. I was like, I can't do any more tonight. I'm out of it. Came back the next day. Was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch the remainder of it. Here, like, I liked the last 30 minutes of this a lot. The last 30 minutes, I got invested to this film because the last 30 minutes is that mom. Is it the mom of Paul?
Yeah.
This is mom.
Okay, I was even like, I might be wrong on that.
Bro, you struggle with this.
Yeah,
That is not difficult.
But I was making sure because I can't even get character. I don't even know the mom's name. But
Jessica.
You should have
Okay.
watched this movie on your Oculus.
Watch this fucking movie in IMAX like I did.
But seriously, I was zoned in. I'm like, who are these characters? Who was whatever? Like, what's going on? But last 30 minutes, I dug this film because I'm invested. We're gonna spoil a little part of it or whatever. Dude,
I'm gonna talk about the whole movie.
Yeah. So the spoilers, whatever, are starting now. So they're with one of the is it the Freeman, not the Philippians or the Corinthians.
Yeah, the native Fremen,
the Fremen or whatever. Like, hey, we're gonna help you out, whatever else. And I love the actor. I keep forgetting his freaking name.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy. Because I love him in No Country for Old Men. I thought he did a great job in
Oh,
this.
you're talking about Javier Bardem. You're talking about a different.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Javier, whatever. Javier, I can't get anybody's name right. Good old Javi. Hey, we're gonna join you, whatever. And then one of the characters, isn't it the guy from Tenet? Who's the guy fighting?
Oh, I don't know who that guy is.
Okay, he was really good too.
I don't think that was.
But he.
I don't think that was him.
I thought he was in Tenet, whatever. But he was challenging he challenges Paul, whatever. And that part's kind of cool. Like, they take their time and they're like, there's more like character interactions and it's more like focused in. And I got really invested. And then it ends. And it's like, I knew there was sequels. I'm not really burnt about that. But I was like, I want to see more of that. Like, I want more of that. So maybe that's another film. But yeah, and then I'll actually say, I legitimately, I went back and liked something from the original Dune film from Lynch is I know the Baron character from the original whatever. And Lynch's Baron has all these fricked up pimples all over his face and he's like bloated. He's bloated in this film. He's bloated, he's floating around and like slimy and he's floating around and like that part, as bad as that, and I don't like the original, like that Dune movie, that like made an impression on me. And I felt like I kind of wanted more of that in this film. Not to saying that like there wasn't cool stuff, but it's like I wanted the more little like, I don't know, like stand out kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like that weirdness of the pimply, weird, whatever, I felt was kind of missing from this film. This was more clean, I guess, of a Baron and all these other characters, but yeah, I loved like the action and the sound design was incredible. Like the stuff exploding and like
was amazing.
Like all the ships and stuff was awesome. But that goes to my other complaint, which is when they were like fighting and then the dad dies. Again, I like when the dad's like dying, I'm like, okay. Like I don't care about this character. Like, okay, when all this stuff was happening, it didn't affect me. Again, kind of reminded me of Last of Us. Like, I don't know what these characters, okay, die, like whatever. But it did crack me up at one part. Like, it felt like a big scene, and it was like, hey, we're going to fight. We're ready to fight. And there's like the one guy that keeps showing, don't know his name. They kept showing as the war general. Like, let's fight. Yeah. And they go, and there's like 7 of them. And there's like 7 of them. They go to 8 of them, and they come out, and like ships are exploding and fighting. I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, it's cool looking, but I'm like seeing like the CGI mess, and I'm like, I don't care about the character. Like, that guy could be shot in the head right now. I'm like, cool. But that's my thoughts. But I know you. Let's get the.
My thought. I don't disagree with you. I do think it could have built a little differently.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me that much. I did get super invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
My dumbass didn't realize that this was one part of a multi-part thing. So my biggest complaint
But we talked about the marketing.
Yeah,
didn't really show that.
Up until a couple hours ago, when you guys told me, yeah, this is just the first part. It's like, oh, okay. Actually, I love this movie. I was so invested.
You thought that was the ending.
My main complaint was like, the movie just like kind of stopped.
Yeah.
My
You
literal
don't know that going in. Oh my
prepping,
gosh.
knowing that I was going to come do this podcast today, I was like, what are my thoughts on this movie? I wish it was 4 hours long.
Yeah.
That was my complaint. But now knowing that it's one part, it's like, okay, I forgive that a little more. I do agree, like, some of those names, like, yeah, I don't remember a lot of those names, but like, I don't know, that didn't bother me. I still thought it was really, really good. I was invested in Paul's character. Like, I want to know more about like that, like training or race or whatever, like that his mom was a part of. Like, I don't know. I'm into it. I thought it was really good.
I approached this movie. Maybe I'm just in a different headspace. We also have different tastes and things are subjective. Like, I approached this movie.
When I saw you were liking on Twitter, I was like, I think there's a divide between like what we're into, like with Last of Us, and then this.
I don't see that parallel at all. I don't find this movie similar to Last of Us 2.
I'm just saying, like, you like that, and Dune, and I don't like Last of Us or Dune 2, and I think there's this similar problems I have with both that you still like enjoy those, and I don't. That's what I was going after.
Yeah.
Not that they're the same exact thing.
To me, like, I approached this movie knowing nothing, didn't read a book, didn't watch a Lynch movie, didn't have any other thing in my brain other than Dune is a classic sci-fi novel that people say is impossible to film. So, like, I approached it from the lens of, okay, I love Lord of the Rings. That's a series of books that people say is impossible to film. So, like, and those,
that's
like,
cool to have again.
And like Fellowship of the Ring is like my favorite movie of all time.
I will say I'm glad that that's back because like we haven't had a Lord of the Rings or like a big.
So like I approached it as
that's cool.
I'm gonna treat this as Fellowship of the Ring for this sci-fi book. You know, like that's the way I approached it. And you know, like Fellowship of the Ring starts very similarly to the way this movie starts with this elven person explaining some of the world. Because you can't adapt these fantasy properties without laying some of the groundwork. Like, you can't just start like in the middle of a battle or like some guy wakes up. Like, you have to set the major forces and the players. So I, like, when this movie started from the jump, like 45 seconds in, I was like, oh, this is working for me. Like, I had to watch it actively. It helped I was in a like theater and like text popped up on the screen, house of whatever. Okay, I need to remember that these people are those guys. And then they started saying it and like it all connected well. I mean, like I had none of the issues you did with like, there's two factions. Like there's the Arcadians or whatever, and there's the guys that started with
there's
H.
the bear.
Well, the hecker, whatever. There's two of them. Like
I picked up on that there was a bad guy, the Barons, and the other wrestler. Not the other. Well, there's two wrestlers in this movie.
I don't. Is Jason Momoa a wrestler?
Was he? I think he was.
I don't think.
I don't think he was. Oh, okay.
There was.
Dude, you come at this with a lot of baggage that like I'm not resonating with.
Thanos was in this movie. Are you talking about Thanos?
So let me just say this, like that's how I approached it. And I also approached it as like I am really burned out on like Star Wars lane of sci-fi. Like there's this new Star Wars anime show that's out. I watched one episode and it was cool, and then I watched the second episode. I was on my phone like, I am so burned out on Star Wars. Like I don't know if I'll ever get over the burnout I have right now for Star Wars. And like I'm just ready for like different, and this movie is so different than Star Wars, but it's science fiction. Like, it reminds me of like...
But it's also kind of like Star Wars because it's got the Force stuff.
I mean, I didn't...
Yeah, it's got the Force. But it's got the Force.
This is so much... Journey. There's no computers. There's no, like... let me just say, like, I felt like, for me being new to this universe, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that, like, onboarded me into their universe and the settings and the sets and the costumes and, like... I was all into all of it. When they were showing these different planets and these different factions, I was just eating it up. Like, I was on the edge of my seat this entire movie. Every dialogue scene, every character scene, I just loved it. Like, I was so into the world. Like, I was loving every single part of it. And they'd introduce these different, you know, these guys arrived, like these Swedish-looking guys, and they've got this army where they're like sucking up this blood, and these guys are being like crucified, and they're like draining their blood, and I don't know what they're doing, but like I was like, these guys are bad, like these are really bad guys, and like I loved it. Like the House Hacanians or whatever with the Baron, the art designer on the Barons, and they're all like this weird, like very pale, bald, like these weird lips, and like they roll their eyes back in their head, like when they're calculating things, they all look kind of deformed, and the Baron floating around. Like I just was like being shocked when they would introduce new things and new characters, and I really, really liked it. Denis Villeneuve, who directed this, He directed Arrival. He did Blade Runner. He has such a distinct style of filming things that, like, your complaint about CGI and whatever, like, I thought every single frame of this movie was art. Like, it looked phenomenal.
It looked cool. I just wasn't invested in what was going on.
And that's fine.
With that thing.
But, like, the way he frames set pieces, he puts people in the frame and then shows a gigantic thing to, like, he never just shows a big thing. Like, he'll put things in the frame that give you a really good sense of its size, or like the magnitude of, like, with the big thing when the worm was coming at the big thing and they had to rescue those guys and get the thing out. Like, there were so many shots that were like, this just feels, and I was watching it in IMAX, which contributed to that.
It felt big.
It just felt huge, and
you did a good job on that.
I just freaking loved it. And my only, I would say the only things that, maybe I wish, I don't maybe wish they did it differently, but maybe one thing that when you adapt something, I think adapting a book to a film, I think that sometimes you have to take creative liberties to, like, make it work in the new medium.
Yeah.
So something that they did with Fellowship of the Ring that was really intelligent on that front was, at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, it's not a definitive, there's no big set piece at the end of that book necessarily. But there is the death of Boromir, which you guys have seen Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
There's the death of Boromir, and in the book, like, he gets shot by, like, a bunch of orcs. And it's just kind of like a thing, but there's a lot of things that happen. And so what they decided to do when they adapted Fellowship of the Ring was they introduced these Uruk-hai, like those big, giant orcs. And they introduced, like, a head guy of them.
Yeah.
And, like, they built this, like, head guy up, and he's chasing them throughout the movie. And then at the end, he's the one that is trying to steal the hobbits, and Boromir stands up to him, and it's like a set piece.
Yeah.
Works really good in a movie.
Yeah.
It's not in the book at all.
Yeah.
But, like, they really did some things and made a new character to punch up that set piece of, like, this is the end of the first book. We're not going to end it with Helm's Deep, but we need to do something. And I felt just a little bit like, and I don't know how the book of Dune goes, but it really does feel like they stayed true to the book and they picked the time to end it. And it feels like the natural time to end it. But I feel like there could have been a way that they maybe add a character or, like, a first movie mini antagonist that kind of, like, gives a little bit more grounding to this story and this film.
To that particular set.
Yeah, because basically the final boss of this one is he kills a guy to get brought into this tribe.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, I will agree with you. Like, I don't think that this movie, I'm guessing this franchise, I don't think it has the depth of character that, like, a Lord of the Rings does. Like, I'm not saying that it does.
Maybe that's my issue with it. Because when you mentioned Lord of the Rings, I was like, why did that work for me? Like, I love all those movies. Those are
really
awesome movies.
deep characters. There's a lot of wholesome stuff going on. But to me, what this reminded me of, and this is, like, I like the cast because I made this connection. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy 15. Of the kid and his dad is the king, and he's getting trained. And the one 13. Guy, but I always do, like, weighing the temperaments of the characters. So, like, the prince in this movie, or the duke, the Paul, he reminded me of Noctis, right? And they were older, but the Jason Momoa guy reminded me of the big guy from Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. And the Josh Brolin character reminded me more of the strategist guy. He's more buff, but, like, so, like, I felt like they had a good ensemble going. I liked that. I'm really intrigued by the relationship of him and his mom. Yeah. Because they don't, like, spell it out, but, like, it's very clear she's a witch, and, like, she does and is involved in things that, like, nobody else really understands or knows about. And so, like, I wish the movie was a little bit longer to explore some more of that stuff. Yeah. I'm hoping maybe there's, like, an extended edition of this movie. I would love it, like, a longer run cut. But, like, the pacing was immaculate. It got from set piece to set piece, thing to thing. I was just totally entranced with the world and felt like this movie looked like it was filmed, like, literally filmed in a different universe in a way that, like, totally got my attention. So
well, and I wonder too if it's kind of like they could have taken almost like a Star Wars-y approach where, like, with the new movies, like, where it's like we have to appeal to everybody all the time, and then it ended up making, like, 3 very average or below average movies, whereas, like, if you read the books, this is probably like the best movie you've ever seen in your
Well,
entire life.
I'm seeing one of my real good friends, Greg. Dune is one of his favorite books. He really does not like this movie.
Really?
He said he thinks it's visually awesome, but he doesn't feel like they are doing the characters justice. But I've seen other people that read the books that love the movie. I think it's it's subjective.
Yeah.
This Denis Villeneuve as a director, if you look at any of his movies, I love Arrival, right? I don't really remember Amy Adams' character in Arrival.
Yeah.
I remember the themes. I remember the visual storytelling. I remember the final, how he seals that movie up, right? Blade Runner 2042, I didn't like connect deeply to Ryan Gosling's character in that movie or his little digital girlfriend or Harrison Ford, but like the vibe and the visual storytelling in this movie with those visions, like it was very entrancing. Like I found myself wondering, like, who is this girl? What is going to happen when they meet? Okay, the first time she stabs him in the vision, but then later she hands him a blade. And in the end, she does give him a blade. He uses it to kill someone else. So I found there was a lot of like, David Lynch talks a lot about this. Movies don't need to tell you everything, right? Eraserhead is like huge on this. Like, what does it mean? Like sometimes you don't really know.
Yeah.
You just don't really know, but like it's the visuals. I feel like there's a lot of really good visual storytelling going on with this movie, of like the visions and like trying to find patterns and how they would change from what ended up actually happening. The guy, when he was having a vision of a guy in a tent, like a guy explaining to him how to live in the desert. And then when they meet up with the tribe, that guy is the guy that challenges him to fight to the death.
Yeah.
The guy that in his vision was giving him advice. And it's like, oh, like in your vision, he gave you advice, but in real life, he wanted to fight you to the death, but you still learned a lesson from him. Like, I came out of the movie with like 10 things like that I was just buzzing thinking about. The movie does a really good job with visual storytelling to where like, is there a Sam and Frodo relationship in this movie that really like I'm going to be thinking about for years? No, like not really. But like to me, it's a really good Denis Villeneuve movie. It's really good visual storytelling. It's like StarCraft brought to life, but like the visuals and the art design, the ships are like biological, like in a weird
with like
way.
the dragonfly wings.
I agree. The action is kind of sterile, and like when they fight, and part of it is in that technology. The shield is really cool.
I was watching
but it does
that.
get rid of a little of the brutality.
Yeah,
it feels
I'm
a little
watching
sterile.
that, and that's part of the books. And it's funny, I had forgotten this in the original Lynch version. They put this freaking ugly CGI, like, I don't even know how to explain it, like a clear, like they're in a clear hexagon thing. It looks like polygons, and it looks so terrible. But this one actually does it where they like hit, and like I kept looking at it and I couldn't figure out what I thought of it. It's of course better than that freaking.
It looked
like,
really
blocks.
good, and it added tension because if you saw like red, you knew it was getting more serious. And I loved the concept of.
I was like, are we in the metaverse?
I love the concept
Is this how we're going to hit the Zuckerberg's taking notes, like, oh yeah, when I kill someone.
I thought it was really creative because like you could swing and hit and it doesn't do anything. You have to really get personal and like dig it through. It reminded me of the anti-shields. It reminded me of those. And so it really worked for me too. But, you know, I totally understand why people would have criticisms of it. But to me, like in 2021, we don't get a lot of like high budget, well made science fiction films.
Yeah,
and if you do, it's Star Wars. And like I watched Nolan interviewed Villeneuve about this movie, and he said he's like the big elephant in the room when we were doing this was Star Wars. And I told my staff, my art people, do not bring me anything that looks like Star Wars. Do not look at Star Wars. Do not pull me any concept art from online. He's like, I want you to read. He's like, I want you to read books about animals and their biology and dream. And when you dream, wake up and sketch what you saw in your dream. Like, it was that level of commitment to like he was having dreams and like talking to people about what was in his dreams and like trying to capture that. That's why I thought you would like it maybe a little bit more because there's that level.
I like the creativity, like the wings,
it's the character stuff,
the wings on the ship, and all this like world stuff, world building is what I do. I do enjoy that, but when I'm not connected with the characters, it's like, okay, this is a cool set pieces and a cool world that I like, but I'm not connected to like. There's this guy over here and whatever, and nobody really honed in.
I do think they could have done it better, but
and maybe like you were saying, because I've never read the books too, never read them, but you were saying like maybe they just don't have that in the books. Like as deep of a character connection as they did in Lord of the Rings books. Maybe that's the difference.
Well, Lord of the Rings is
because I was saying maybe they could do a TV show, maybe they couldn't. Like maybe that wouldn't work well.
maybe, I don't know.
They'd be stretching out stuff, but
there is a TV show of Doom.
Is there?
There's a miniseries in the 90s.
Oh, okay. And that
Nobody talks about it.
must be
We
great.
probably
Must
know.
be really good.
Whenever I ask somebody what's Dune about, like they would say like, I don't know, it's like a desert planet, like spice.
Spice is all I know.
And so I came in kind of like, I don't think this is like all about character stuff. Like they need to be there, they need to serve a purpose, but like it's not the main focus.
Yeah.
Like, and so to me, I liked Paul. I liked the Paul character. Like I thought that he reminded me a little bit of like, it reminded me like I was getting like original Star Wars vibes of like he woke up on the planet and he's like listening to like little, like it's very benign. Like he's just going about his day-to-day life and he's like listening to like things about wildlife and learning and like, I don't know. I was like, man, this is like really fresh. I really like this. But you know, I was interested. I was interested in the mystery of like what's this thing.
The mystery was
to me, it was the
point to
mystery.
me.
What's going on? What's going on with his mom? What's going on with? Okay, his dad's got like some political stuff he's dealing with. Like there was just enough going on plot-wise.
I'm also willing when I'm in the mood to watch this a second time.
You go see it in IMAX.
Because maybe I will get time. We'll see. But before they go out of theaters, but I'm willing to give it a second try because, of course, like I did like the world. I loved that ending part. Because I felt like it went from like, here's these major things and they're fighting and you're going back and forth between these like factions and it's like, I don't care about anybody here. But then when you're in the desert with the mom, and it's like, no, you have to fight me to the death. And like the mom, like, you know what I mean? Like there's tension there. It's like, okay, I like this type of stuff. Like now I'm invested.
I think mystery is the perfect word that you used because like, that's what it was to me. Like, I do think there could have been more, but also if there would have been more of that like character building, like then I might not have been as intrigued to like, want there to be a 4-hour movie. Like I like that was my initial thought was like, I just wish this was longer. Yeah. Like and I think that mystery helped that. And it probably just for some people it's gonna work and for some people it's not.
I also just really liked it. I didn't know what the core plot. The plot of this movie is literally rich family in a nice planet gets forced to go to a shitty planet and try to make do. Like that's the story. And like I just found the whole dynamic really endearing. Like they go to this desert planet and there's this weird like occult stuff happening and they're like trying to set up their palace and they're trying to hire a maid and the maid's bringing in a knife and saying weird creepy stuff and then like they're trying to harvest stuff and the equipment's breaking down and like there's a weird assassin trying to kill the kid and the guy's like, I'm gonna resign. And they're like, I just liked that. Like, it just felt like a doomed operation. Like, and it was doomed because this emperor that's pulling the strings is like, oh, I'm gonna give you this gift. I'm gonna put you in the center of the most important planet. But it was like very clearly like to get him killed, you know? And I found that whole backdrop for a story intriguing. Like I was interested in that.
So I'm willing to give a second try. I didn't like Evangelion the first time through.
Yeah.
I was kind of mixed on Evangelion the first watch through. So we'll see.
If you end up getting in the mood while it's still in theaters, this is awesome in IMAX. But that might be too soon because sometimes you need more time, between.
Yeah.
So
there's Dune. Dune and Dread.
Dune and Dread. I watched another movie in theaters in IMAX.
James Bond?
No Time to Die. James Bond. 007.
I said James Bond. You said no.
Yeah, it's called No Time to Die.
Oh.
That's the name of the movie.
Oh, okay.
The movie's called Time to Die.
Ah, okay. I get the picture.
Yeah, I saw No Time to Die. It might be like one of my more favorite Bond films. It's hard because there's 28 of these movies, and the Daniel Craig ones are
you
like...
should rank them.
Yeah.
You should do a tier list.
Yeah, tier list. We should do that.
Yeah. We should do a tier list of that.
That'll
be fun.
This movie, the reason why I say that is so like...
That's definitely number 23.
We're going to basically take everything James Bond before Casino Royale, and like it doesn't count for this conversation. Because like... These Daniel, we were talking about it over dinner. The Daniel Craig, the earlier Bond movies, been like 6 Bonds. The earlier Bond movies there is no continuity. Like there is no recurring villain. There's a guy that's kind of in the background. He's not even played by the same guy when he pops up. There's no. They loosely refer to things.
Even from Bond, like the same Bond actor.
Even the same Bond. Like he'll be like in love with a girl, and the next movie's just with another girl. Like it just doesn't even matter. So the Daniel Craig movies, though, like Casino Royale to me is like probably the GOAT. It is a perfect James Bond movie. Like it is phenomenal. I love Casino Royale. And then the Craig movies have been so up and down. Like Quantum of Solace was the first Bond movie that was a direct sequel to a Bond movie. So like Quantum of Solace starts right when Casino Royale ends.
Yeah.
The movie freaking sucks. Quantum of Solace is bad.
If I'm remembering it right, it's very slow compared to the other
slow. Ones. It's just, it came out in the writer's strike era.
Okay.
So it just has issues.
And
man.
Eddie and Freddie were
everything in 2008 just kind of sucked. But then Skyfall, I saw, Skyfall is good. It's shot very well. Sam Mendes, I think, directed, did a great job. I just kind of found it kind of sterile. Like it just kind of, I didn't love it the way a lot of other people did, but it's a good movie. Then Spectre was the fourth one with Daniel Craig, and I have never been more hyped for a Bond movie. It's coming off of Skyfall, so they got their footing back. Radiohead was, every Bond movie has like an opening song. Radiohead was commissioned to do.
The Travis movie.
Leah Seydow was the Bond girl. That was like the main. I love that actress. I think she's great. She was in Death Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding.
I think she's a great actress. I think she's awesome. It just looked like it was going to bring in Blofeld, who was the big main bad guy in the old ones. And he was played by Christoph Waltz, who's a great actor. And I was like, you couldn't put together a better cast. And that movie sucked. Spectre was awful. I went in wanting to love it. I had no expectations other than this is going to rock. And it is the most boring movie. They try to like make you think that like the bad guy is going to be James Bond's brother. Like they do this weird plot. And then they go and like he opens up these cards and it's like all the bad guys from the other Daniel Craig movies. And it's like, I was behind it all. Like it's just like a twirling, like it's horrible. Yeah. It is a horrible movie. And so I've gone from being this big Bond fan to like No Time to Die is announced, and I'm like, what do I even? It's the last one with Daniel Craig. And I'm like, what do I even want out of the Daniel Craig movie at this point? Like, I love one, I like one, and I hate two, right? Yeah. And this one, they were saying it's the culmination of all four of these movies, and I was really weighing like, will it be damaged by the baggage of the ones I like and don't like? Or will it be good?
Do I have to watch the other Daniel Craigs to like this, to watch this movie? My dad's kind of wanting to take me to...
I think you can walk in and you'll be able to put the pieces together.
Okay.
So that's the thing. It does. It brings in elements of Spectre and they refer to some stuff from Casino Royale, but like there's enough context clues. Okay. This movie is really, really good. Extremely good. I would say it's better than Skyfall for me, and it's second to Casino Royale. It is very, very well done. I loved it start to finish. This opening scene is the best opening scene ever in a Bond movie. One of the more memorable opening scenes.
Skyfall?
One of them.
Skyfall.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about the song. I'm just talking about the opening scene. Okay. The opening scene of this movie.
Not the intro.
The opening scene of this movie is extremely, extremely like it gets your attention. And they redeem, like I love Leah Seydow's character in this, and I did not connect with whatever they were trying to do with her inspector. You can jump into this without seeing the others and you'll pick up what's going on, basically. Cool. But this movie, like, it does some things in the last third that like they introduce a character. I won't even get into specifics, but they introduce a character, and I'm just like, I've seen 28 James Bond movies, never seen James Bond in this situation. Like, wow. So it was almost like I'm trying to think of like almost like Metal Gear Solid 4 type things they would do with Snake, of like put him in a situation, or maybe that's not a perfect example, but like, okay, you can tell they're really sending him off, like, because that's the other thing about the Craig movies. In Skyfall, I'm retired. You can't bring me out of retirement. And they bring him out. And then Inspector, I'm retired. You can't bring me out of retirement. And so this movie, again, is like that kind of and so I was like, this is so tired. But this movie, it makes sense what's going on. But
like you get to see him do the paperwork for his retirement.
Yeah. No, this movie, he's super retired when it starts. But So I felt like it's really good. It's kind of like the Dark Knight Returns, or the Dark Knight. Is that the last one with Bane and everything?
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Dark Knight Rises a little bit, where it's like this is the send off. But that also made me. I got choked up a little bit at the end of this movie, which I didn't think a James Bond movie. Yeah, I was talking. I saw it with Sam. I was like, I don't think that's ever happened to me. And like,
that's closing a chapter.
It's closing a chapter. It's closing a chapter, and the way the stakes and the way they do it, it's like, I've never really had this level of feeling about a scenario in a Bond movie. So it's almost sensitive. It's definitely a good movie. Definitely worth watching. You would be fine. I think the only things you need to know about the Craig movie. You see Casino Royale?
I saw the one that came on 08 or 9.
That was Casino. You saw Casino Royale.
I mean, it's been
in Casino Royale. Like the big plot twist in that movie is the girl he's in love with betrays him and then she dies, and like he's in love with her but she's dead, and so he's got issues because of that. And so, but yeah, I mean, No Time to Die. It was good. It made me curious. Like, okay, what's next for James Bond?
Yeah.
My hope is there was rumors at one point because Nolan's a big Bond fan. There was
Nolan's
rumors
going to be the next James Bond.
That or a Bond trilogy with Nolan, like the way he did Dark Knight.
Oh, that'd be sick.
I'm like that is like that's my hope, is that we get a Nolan Bond or something like that.
Did you? Speaking of Nolan, they announced what his next project. I think it comes out 2023. Yeah, it's about the atomic bomb and the scientist that made the atomic bomb and stuff. So, what cracked me up, I saw that thread on Reset Era when that was announced. I was like, cool. One of the first comments, and someone said, Nolan audio mixing the atomic bomb. Because seriously, Dunkirk fricked my ears up. Like in the theater, that was the loudest thing I've ever heard, is the explosions.
Dunkirk messed my ears up, and Tenet was impossible to understand.
Yeah, and in Tenet, you couldn't hear anything.
I had somebody ask me the other day, Sam, because he hasn't seen Tenet yet, and he's like, I'm not as into the later Nolan movies. Should I watch Tenet? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I actually don't know. Like,
I watched Tenet at home with captions, and I had a fine time with it.
I think but wasn't it really funny because people were like, well, I'll wait till the Blu-ray and we'll put the subtitles, and some of the subtitles are muttering.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait, I want to hear what he said. Like,
yeah, Tenet is like one of the more split I've ever felt about a movie.
But that
things
I can't even say
lot.
his name. Denis
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Whatever, that guy. He was like gloating over Tenet or something recently.
Yeah.
Like he was like, this is a perfect movie. Like it's not like,
well, him and Nolan are good friends, so there's a lot of circling around there.
Yeah. I feel like there's an appreciation. I feel like Tenet is like,
I appreciate Tenet, and you made a comparison. It almost felt like Metal Gear.
Yeah,
like he was building a technological
Metal
vibe. You know, like,
well, there was weird, wacko stuff that only exists in that world. Like, here's how time works, and like that was so Metal Gear. Like it felt like a Metal Gear kind of.
Where Tenet fell apart for me was like just the rules began to completely break, and then like they were trying to do like
at the very end
with that final set piece. I just was
the movie
lost.
The whole time. Yeah. My biggest thing was I want to go back and watch Tenet a couple more times because I think there is some cool. I've heard people talk about it, like write articles, and I was like, that is cool. Like I didn't piece that together. Like stuff that they did, they managed to do in that movie went over my head. But there is a part in Tenet. No, they keep telling you, if this happens, this is the end of everything.
The end of everything. If this happens, it's the end of everything.
So maybe this is went over my head what was going on here, but the stakes were so high on it that happens in the movie, and you're like, frick!
And then it just doesn't matter.
Nothing happens, and I think they even ask. I think one of the characters like, "But this happened," and they went, "Didn't matter."
Yeah. That's when I officially was done.
Going, frick off.
Yeah, frick off. That has been my biggest complaint too. That happened, and it just. And so Tenet is it is what it is. Also, Tenet was where I officially. I got a little taste of why people don't like Nolan for the way he does exposition. Like in all of his movies, like in Inception, they sit down. There's a thing, and then it does this, and then it does this. It's very fast, and I've always been good with it. I like the way he writes, But in Tenet, there is a scene where they go out to dinner with the old guy. What's the old guy's name?
I forget.
And they ask him a question, and he says, there's an art dealer, but he's not really an art dealer, and he sells art. But then his wife, she stole his art, but they killed her. But then they put the art in a vault. But you know what happened to the vault? It exploded.
Yeah.
But they didn't explode yet, because you're going to explode it. And he explains this super long thing that is impossible to follow.
Yeah.
And you cannot pick up what he's trying to explain.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 people removed from the situation. And then
I think
they
because
build the entire plot on that guy's story that was impossible to follow.
and I think why.
Oh my God, that drove me crazy.
This is
'cause I
one of
couldn't-
those movies that is so galaxy brain, because when I was reading those articles, it kind of folds in on itself. Like, it almost ends where it begins and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So, like, I think you kind of have to watch this a couple times to really kind of figure out the line. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, this scene, you have to watch it a couple more times because, like, I think that scene would be funnier and stuff over multiple viewings, but it's not an easy digestible movie. It's very hard to swallow, like, this whole entire film. So
You know,
I'm not defending it. I think Tenet is like, I think Tenet and Dunkirk are ones in his filmography where I'm like, yeah, I get that people are like,
yeah,
on these.
Dunkirk was good, really, really, really well made.
And it was an awesome experience in the theater. It was an experience movie. That movie, I could tell you, like,
It's kind of like your thing with Dune. Like, the characters are like not the focus.
Yes, yeah.
My biggest takeaway was I like Dunkirk, but then I saw 1917. Like, I think that is a much better version of that movie. Like, 1917 blew me away, man. That movie was great. But anyway.
But you have to watch 1,916 other movies to get it, though.
Yeah. I would encourage you guys to go see No Time to Die, though. I would.
That I
have
haven't
no
seen a
time to
Bond
die.
movie in a long time.
I have no time to watch. But I do want to watch it.
I also but that would be good.
No time for No Time to Die.
But I would say it's been a good week for movies. Just going to the theater, seeing Dune and No Time to Die, and in IMAX. It's helping me recapture. I love going to movies, but it's just been a long time. And then
I do too.
Then like last year, the stuff I was seeing, like I saw Tenet, that was really good looking, but I saw like an X-Men movie or something last year. It was the one with the kids.
that was the one that came out.
Like, there just hasn't been a lot to celebrate and go to the movies to see.
Yeah.
So
I have seen another series I've been pretty hyped about, but I've been watching the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, we
We should talk about. So we went on a trip to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
We should talk about that. Was a really
we
fun
didn't
trip.
even get to that.
Yeah, we went to for our you might have seen him in a couple streams. Zach's 30th birthday, surprised him. His wife planned this whole trip. Whatever, we went down there and we went to Wizarding World of Harry Potter. He's a big Harry Potter nut.
Yep.
And we went to Disney World one day. We went to two days Universal, one day Disney. And I'm not Harry Potter. But my wife is, a couple of our friends are, and Zach definitely is. So that was the first experience of my life. You've already had this, so you've had like dad moments at the Wazoo.
Oh yeah.
But I've not had a dad moment. But like watching our friends and like my wife like go in where you can pick out a wand and like you're customized. Like they'll say like, what kind of person are you? And they'll like the shop looks like it. I guess it does in the movie.
It looks just like the movie, yeah.
And like all this stuff, and like it's been a while since I've seen films, but like seeing that and like everybody picking out. I loved the design of the shops, the way they did it, like the movies, and seeing that I was standing back. I was like, this is really cool, and they're excited, and they're taking their wands. You can take the wands out and actually do stuff in the park. Like you can go up to these windows and do stuff, and like something will change in the window and stuff will animate. So cool. So I was like sitting back like a proud dad, like they're having fun. Like I love seeing their smiles on their faces, and like Zach getting excited and doing a little like the magic or whatever. So all that to be said, get all that stuff out of here. There was a dragon that breathed fire, and you could feel the heat like from this tower. But there was something cooler. The Fast and the Furious ride. So I had heard that this ride, I'm not a big theme park guy too much, but I've heard that this ride sucks.
Yeah.
This ride is awful. You said you read something while
I read
there.
It was the biggest mistake of Universal's. Like, they spent millions of dollars on the ride. So we're at the park.
We're at the park, and
so he doesn't ride roller coasters, and I'm trying to like ride rides. I see that, and I'm like, dude, you're watching the Fast and Furious series. We are here.
Yeah.
We gotta ride this ride.
So I'm like, like me and your wife are like spooked about rides, and I'm looking up stuff. I'm literally going to Google and I'm typing, "Can I handle this?" Like the name of the ride, "Can I handle this?" And I'm cracking myself up, and I'm having to show Jessica, and like we're looking, it's like, and it gives you a scale, like from a scale of 1 to 10, like thrill wise, and we're trying to deduce, like, can we do this? Can we do? Okay, we're skipping this one, whatever. But Fast and the Furious, it was like you sit down in a bus and they take you like on a thing.
You literally sit on a party bus.
And it was like they put screens to the side of you. So I was like, well, I've been watching these Fast and the Furious movies. This sounds like it's really sucky. And I've loved the suckiness of these films or sucky parts. Let's do it. I think the ride said it was 20 minutes. It was not 20 minutes.
20 minutes? That's the longest ride.
For the line.
We walked onto that thing.
So we walk on, and we get in there, and for those that have been like on the Jungle Cruise, part of the Jungle Cruise at Disney World or Disneyland, it was made in like the 60s, so there's all these like fake alligators open their mouths and stuff. So what became actually really fun of it is the skippers, the people that are like, guiding the boat. They just make these corny after corny after corny jokes, and that is actually the experience. That's the fun. So going into this, they put you in a room in the queue, and there is like this girl, and they play
like on
video.
A stage, like on a fake desk.
This ride sucks so much that like they have no animatronics, they have no whatever. They have TV screens, pre-recorded video of all like Ludacris and all these people saying, "Hey, we got a mission for you today. We got a mission. And that's what we're gonna do, and we gotta do it for the family. Whatever. All this stuff's happening." You get to the room and they start playing one, and the girl goes beat after beat. It's going, and the girl was really funny. The staff, whatever there, and she was like, "Yeah, we need to do this," and she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I know. Who cares?
Yeah.
And like playing that
They
way.
literally
Like,
hired a person to make fun of the
yes,
video.
I think, and I don't
make
think
it work.
I don't think that was the way. Probably when it opened. I think it sucked so bad they shifted gears, and that was a good shift because we were cracking up. Like the way she was playing is like making fun of this.
Yeah.
And we get in the bus. Oh, waiting for the bus to pull up. This is its own experience. You're in line. And when the bus pulls up, one of us goes, "Look at the driver." And the driver is a mannequin head with like a plaid shirt and sunglasses and a hat. And no, it was a beanie. And it's like, okay, that looks weird.
Yeah.
The second one pulls up, and it is
Einstein
the
here.
most zero effort. Seeing the mix of like multi-millions of like hiring these actors to do this thing, and the cars and the set design.
Zero effort, man.
Zero effort to these drivers. So the next one comes up, and it looks like a sex doll with like a Party City wig, like a $2 wig. Driving the thing is the driver, and I'm like, what happened? And we're cracking up in line. We get it. So we sit down. Zach's next to me, and we sit down. And I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. So they start you off or whatever. They tell you you're on this mission, and you're going down this you're going down this tunnel. By the way, spoilers for the Fast and Furious ride. You're going down this tunnel, and it's like the screens are showing that you're moving, and this already
they're showing like the tunnel walls.
Okay, you're moving, and you feel like you're moving the bus or whatever. The walls are still moving on this side, and you come to where it turns. The ride turns. This is still moving, and you're coming to a stop, but it doesn't like the illusion is broken because I can see the straight.
But you can still see it.
It's so poorly designed. So then we turn. And right when we turn, there's girls dancing these like stripper
like
moves
hologram.
are like holidays on the screen, and then you hear everybody out, and this car comes out, and everyone is so giant scaled. I guess for everybody to see it, but like they have a gun out, the bad guy or whatever for the movies, and here comes The Rock, and here comes Vin Diesel, whatever, making corny jokes or whatever. That happens, but here's where. So we're cracking up already.
Yeah.
But you're not. you don't even know what's about to happen. All right, here's the mission. We gotta go. We gotta fight. But here's where it goes off the rails. We get on this highway. A helicopter comes up. We gotta fight him. And here the guy with the beginning with the bad guy with the gun. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna whatever. They start screaming. Rock starts screaming. Vin Diesel's screaming. We gotta go. We gotta go. Cars are coming on either side of these screens.
It's like a VR around the bus.
Yes, all around this bus is these VR screens. They're like you're surrounded.
One open window in the front.
And then like the bus is
moving.
Even
the front is VR at this point now.
And then like the bus is going
the
like
bus
this.
Is going, but
it's the illusion of moving, basically.
There are so many explosions, so much screaming. You see Vin Diesel on the helicopter. He's going on the helicopter.
He's holding onto a helicopter. Like
you see rockets go by, and you see Vin Diesel on a helicopter, and he's going this way. And I didn't stop laughing for 4 minutes straight. I am cackling. Zach is in tears. I'm tearing up because it is chaos. For me, if you want me to laugh, chaos is the funniest thing to me when nothing's in control. So all this is going on. It is so chaotic. You end up jumping this freaking highway and whatever else. It's so bad, but it's so funny. That was one of my favorite things. Maybe the Harry Potter fans won't want to hear that, but that was my favorite ride of the whole thing because I laughed. I had so much fun.
If you go into that expecting a thrill ride, you will come out very disappointed.
Yes.
If you go into that expecting goofy, laughing shenanigans, it's a great time.
If you go expecting the room of theme park rides, you're going to have a good time. So that was amazing. But I haven't finished it yet because I've been so busy, but I did watch the first. It's called Fast and Furious. They took the out. So cool.
How was that one?
That's the first one with The Rock, but I am loving it. Like I'm towards like the last fourth of it or whatever, but I am a sucker for it because it is the Avengers of these car movies. They're at this point.
Is that Fast 5 or Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious.
Okay.
So they bring the rocks in or whatever, but like Vin Diesel's
the
like
rocks.
the rocks are in here. But Vin Diesel at this part of the movie, of course I haven't finished it, but like I get it. But he is like, if we're gonna take down the biggest guys in Rio, we're gonna have to assemble a team. So he brings back one of the guys. He didn't bring back the freaking redneck guy from Tokyo Drift, but it's the other guy from Tokyo Drift. The other characters and stuff. They bring Ludacris in. He's like, what am I doing here? Also, Ludacris makes a terrible joke. And it was funny. I watched it in another movie at the same time as an older movie. Oh, no, I know what it was. We watched Halloween Resurrection.
Halloween Resurrection.
Which we'll talk about maybe in a second.
Oh,
but
my God.
that joke, they use the same joke in both movies.
What?
In this one, Ludacris walks up and they hire Gal Gadot. Is that her name?
Yeah, Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. She's in this one. She comes up and Ludacris is there and goes, "Nice legs. What time do they open?" and I think she pulls a gun on him, like in this movie. But like,
oh my God.
But then we watched Halloween and it said, "Nice legs. What time they open?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've watched 2 movies with the same joke and it's crazy in both of them." But like they have to assemble all this team stuff, and I'm like, this is the Avengers of all these car people. And I love the concept that this should have ended way long ago, and they keep continuing it. It's like, what can we do?
You're not even halfway.
I'm not even halfway, and I am loving these movies because of how chaotic they've gotten. And now they're like shooting guns in Rio, and there's all these gangs, and there's so much on the line now. And it's what are we doing? Like you guys were drag racing like for a while. Like what the frick? But I'm really loving the series. Fast and Furious. So.
I can't wait for you to get to 6 because that's the one I've seen.
Yeah,
so maybe I'll go back and I feel like these are perfect Saturday afternoon throw them on kind of movies.
But they're funny when my wife is home and I'm playing them and she's like, these are movies for like teenagers because like they do have like the strippers and stuff. The part I'm at in this one they went and busted this like place where they're like dealing dope or they're getting the money, but all the girls that are sorting the money are all in bikinis, like they're sorting the thing. I'm like,
well, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
They're all in bikinis.
And in American Gangster, they're actually topless when they're sorting all the coke. It's so they can't.
We missed the topless.
It's so they can't take any. It's actually like a real
I thought
thing.
they were doing it because they had been doing that previously in a movie.
No, normally, in a
real
real environment, they'll make them do it butt naked.
Oh,
because they don't want them to stash because they're addicted.
Where's the director's cut?
Fast and Furious actually.
Me with this
came it
wig
up.
saying that. Well, where's the director's cut? But yeah, Fast and Furious. And we haven't finished this either. We have to watch movies in parts because of how busy we've been. But me and my wife have been watching your recommendation, Burbs.
Yeah.
And we are having my wife is, what is this movie? Like, we felt the same about this as we did Money Pit.
The
Like,
Burbs is awesome.
The Burbs is about like
I was gonna say I need a pitch. I don't know anything about
moves.
this.
Tom Hanks. I'm on a hankathon.
Okay,
I watched the podcast or whatever. I've been having a hankathon for months. We're watching all the Tom Hanks movies. In this movie, Tom Hanks, of course, won The Neighbors, and also who's Princess Leia? I forgot her freaking name.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher is the wife.
Oh, I forgot she was in that.
Yeah, but this weird neighbor moves in. Very creepy, weird neighbor, and they're trying to figure out. So all these like very nosy neighbors are trying to figure out what's going on. This movie is very funny. Like, it's just goofy scenarios, and they're going through their trash and they're doing all this stuff. But we watched a part that killed me and my wife. There is a part when they go, what happened here? Oh, but I don't know what happened here. And they put 2 and 2 together. Or I think they read a note. Something, I forgot what actually spurred it on. But something like Tom Hanks and this other neighbor are really invested on like who is this neighbor. And they read something, they go, but this is that. But that means, and then they look at each other and they go, and they start screaming, and the camera, they do the worst, like they zoom in and out and move the camera up and down, and that was killing me, my wife, the poorness of it. It was like so freaking funny. So yeah. They met the neighbors, and that interaction between these, like, they're weird. They're so weird and vampiric, like they've seen like vampire kind of people and stuff, and God, it's been so funny. So
yeah,
it's a very stupid movie.
The Burbs is wild.
Yeah, I'm glad. So we're going basically through his entire film.
Yeah, you're hitting them all.
The hankathon. Let's continue.
You gonna watch Apollo 13?
Oh, we watched that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a classic.
Yeah, that was a good one. I think that's all.
When you get done, we should do a tier list of the Tom Hanks movies.
I'll be fresh. Yeah, I mean, I've reviewed all of them on the podcast. So.
That's funny.
The Burbs is not number 1.
I still laugh about Angels and Demons. The security.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still laugh about that. I haven't seen that movie, but
good stuff.
Okay. Any other movies? What else we got?
I don't know if
you guys watched any shows.
I have.
Oh, you saw The Many Saints of Newark. That's kind of like a show too.
Oh yeah, that was.
My only, because I didn't watch Sopranos. My only background on this is I listen to a football podcast with they're Italian and they talk about The Sopranos every single like episode of the football podcast, and they always make like comparisons of this guy's like this guy in the show, whatever. Well, they did a review of the movie, and one guy like saw it first and loved it, and the other guy tore it to shreds and hated it.
Yeah,
hated it. So
I loved it.
Okay.
It is not. You have to go in. Maybe that's expectations too.
Yeah.
Of what this is. This is a prequel to. They kind of explain, like the movie starts with one of the characters like basically spoiling what happens at the end of Sopranos with one of the characters. It's like a major spoiler than 20 seconds of this movie, but that character is like talking about like what happened to like a character like his family member or whatever, because you don't ever know what happens with this character. And they kind of like go back to, and it's not like a big giant reveal or whatever, but like it's like, oh, let's go and like look at that and whatever. You get to see young Tony Soprano too or whatever. But like going in like, hey, this is going to be another like, I went into it like maybe this is like another like, its own. I kind of went into it like El Camino, like for the Breaking Bad thing.
That yet.
You haven't seen El Camino?
I can't believe I forgot that exists.
That's worth your time.
Which El Camino was like not the best movie ever made. It was like a little snippet episode, an extra bonus episode of Breaking Bad. Like, oh, let's just check this thing out.
You really liked it?
I did really like. I agree. It's not like it's the best movie. It's not.
It's
like
just checking with these
It's
characters.
not a standalone movie at all. Like
yeah.
But if you love Breaking Bad, then like it's
it's
a perfect like
it's checking with
hour and a half or however long it is. Like it's a perfect way to just like go back into that world.
Kind of like an epilogue.
That's a perfect way.
You're
to
just
put it,
checking in with these characters and seeing what's going on.
Because you get finality with the main character in Breaking Bad, but like the second main character, you don't get as much finality.
Yeah, that's true.
El Camino picks up right where.
So with that, I was like,
I need to watch
as this movie is going
it's a good
along,
one.
I was like, oh, this is an episode of Sopranos. It's just like we got an extra little bonus thing, and that's what it felt like. And for that, I loved it. It just it was cool. The cinematography was awesome. There was times I was watching, I was like, dang, like just audible kind of reactions from how they kind of filmed it. But it was fun. It was cool to get back in that world. They bring back those characters that were in Sopranos, like some of them. But it was funny because I was watching another podcast and they brought it up because I was like, oh, that makes sense that they did that, but whatever. Some of those characters are older, and young Tony Soprano is younger, of course. It's way back in time, but they made these characters seem much older than they really are, meaning like they're kind of similar in age to Tony. They're not that much older than Tony, and they made them like the age difference wasn't. If you were like, oh, but he's back in that time, but they wanted them to seem more like.
I heard there was some of that. Some of the.
So they kind of like retconned the ages.
Well,
they just did that more for like the movie.
And that was, and I don't obviously I don't watch Sopranos, but I heard, and this is a prequel thing. I heard one of the complaints was like, well, like they make it seem in the show that this guy and his uncle or whatever have this great relationship, and it's like in this movie, it's like you're like, why do they even have that relationship? Why do they like? Like, and then you have that with like the Star Wars prequels of like, oh, Anakin was a great friend, and then it's like they freaking hated each other. They didn't get along at all. Like, that's the thing about prequels that like can be kind of weird sometimes.
The other thing was though, it was fun. So they bring back those old characters, and it was really funny to see. It was like these characters. They have other actors, of course, playing younger versions of these characters, and it was almost like they were just playing those actors. And I think that's a complaint, or you loved it. And I just loved seeing those characters kind of do that stuff again, but it was like they were cosplaying at times of these, older characters. But it's like, oh, there's Polly, there's this and stuff. And it's funny when you see their mannerisms, the younger versions of them. It was funny, but I loved it for that. And I guess the David Chase, not David Chase, that's the guy who makes the games. Is it David Chase?
I think it is David Chase.
Who am I thinking of that made Beyond Two Souls or whatever?
That's David Cage.
David Chase, and then the other guy, I forgot his freaking name. Let's say Tom Wolfe. That's probably better.
Okay.
I don't know if that's wrong. How far am I off? Let us know in the comments below. But those two, Tom Wolfe. That's probably not even close. He's real excited to get back with Tom Wolfe. David Chase is to make. I guess they're going to be working on another thing, and people are like, maybe it's another miniseries on HBO and stuff.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. David Chase get back with Tom Wolfe. I'm pumped for that. I'm getting loopy.
I was gonna say you need to go to bed, dude.
This wig is like freaking constricting my brain, and it's like I'm losing blood here. But yeah, that's Tom Wolfe and David Chase, what they're up to.
That gets us through our movies, man. I mean,
Newark.
Sounds like you watched a little bit of TV.
I watched. They premiered Succession, season 3. And that was one I had to catch up to this year, actually, the first 2 seasons. But I highly recommend you guys check that show out.
Yeah,
it is very.
I don't know anything about it.
It's basically lampooning. It's like this conglomerate of media, this media conglomerate like Fox News, but it's not Fox News. It's a big conservative media conglomerate.
Okay.
And the show starts with this aging dad that owns it or whatever, and he has all the like his sons and daughters and stuff or whatever, daughter or whatever. And it starts in like, oh, he's about to announce his retirement. They planned it, and the kids are like, oh, we're going to become the big dogs, and we're going to be able to like lead this thing, and we're the next generation. Cool. And last minute, the dad goes, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not retiring now. And they're like, what the frick? And this dad has so much control over not only his kids, but like everybody in this company, and just so crude to everybody, but like you love his character because everybody in that show is so like their characters and their personalities are so freaking funny, and they each are very distinct in the way they play off each other. Like you really just have to like watch the first couple episodes. Like, oh yeah, like I get like what they're going with this. Like this, there's just these waspy rich people is what they're just so crude to each other with each other and stuff, but But at the same time of it being very funny, there are like interactions and like meetings that happen where you're like sweating. You're like, oh, because you know these characters and they're getting together and you're seeing that like what's happening and you're like, I can't even watch the screen right now. Like,
I've heard great things, and I really like the intro
incredible
music of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've heard great things about it. So,
but definitely check that out. The actors are incredible. It's freaking hilarious. Like me and my wife were like in tears laughing at some of the stuff that's going on.
I heard that it's a show where like everybody really sucks.
Yes.
Like, they're all really bad.
They're
people.
all terrible people, but seeing them bounce off each other is so it's beautiful. So season 3 just came out, and they are continuing after something that like happened that was pretty major at the end of season 2. So they're trying to we're trying to regroup, and like what is happening is pretty major. So it's fun to get back in that world. We're cracking up all the little jokes between the characters and stuff are really good stuff.
Yeah,
love it. Really highly recommend it.
Nice.
Succession.
The only show that I started Squid Game, which like
my wife watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
In like a week. She loved it.
Yeah, we started it at an unfortunate time. We started it our last day of vacation that we were like by ourselves.
Okay.
And then we watched 2 episodes, and then like we were at theme parks 3 days in a row driving, and then I went on a work trip. So like we have just not had a chance to keep watching. I don't think it's like 8 episodes, but I mean at this point, I mean we're like the 3 of us are probably the only people that haven't finished it. So like it is the most watched show in Netflix's history.
Yeah.
Oh, history?
Like by 5-fold. Like
because they had 8,000 countries they won.
Yeah.
With the
well, and it's a lot of shows get simultaneous release. It's just like it hit like the pop culture at the right time, right place, and everything. So, I really like the first 2 episodes. I will say the first episode it's really well made, but like. I mean, I think it's a show better that you know less than more. If you're gonna watch it, I think it's worth watching. It's like the show of the year, and it's 8 episodes. But it definitely there's a point at the end of the pilot where I was like, I'm gonna have to make a decision here. Like, is this like something I really can stomach? Like, do I like watching stuff like this?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Because Jess like, I'm gonna watch the next one. And I was like, I do want to watch the next one. And I do, but I like some of these characters, and like this scenario is fricked. Like this is a fricked scenario.
Yeah.
And the world, just in general, is fricked. But then it's like, but that's kind of the point, because like the real world's kind of fricked too. So, but then what they do is in the second episode, they, like in Matrix, like they have them take red pill, blue pill, take your choice, and you take the red pill, and he's out, right? Like they almost like do the red pill, blue pill in the second episode, where it's like, okay, if you don't like what just happened. Do you want to go back? And like some say yes, some say no. And some of the people that say yes or no, they realize they do want to go be and doing whatever this thing was. And so now after the second episode, it's like, okay, they can do whatever to these people over the next 6 episodes because they're all here on their own accord kind of thing. So, but other than that, like it's just the premise of the show is basically it's in Korea. And capitalism, and like basically like there's just like this guy, the main character, he's a down on his luck, lovable idiot kind of guy. Like he is an idiot. Like he is just gambling. He can't stop. He's a degenerate gambler. He lives with his mom, and he's got like a daughter who like she lives with a different parent, like a mom, and like she really sees her stepdad as her real dad, but her dad's fun, and like. This guy just cannot get out of his own way. He's horrible with money. He cannot get, and he basically gets offered this opportunity to play children's games to win infinite money, basically. Yeah. And so he's like, okay, I'll do that. And from there, it reminds me of Snowpiercer in terms of.
I had a feeling it was going to be Snowpiercer.
It reminds me of Snowpiercer in an interesting way of just like people are like. By circumstances just kind of in this spot where they don't really have a choice and they have to figure this out kind of thing. Yeah, they got to march forward. But what I like is they've built a little cast of like 5. So you talk about JRPG parties a lot. In the pilot, they do a really good job. It's like Lost. Like you've got like a central guy, and then he like wakes up and there's like other people with him. Yeah. And like they kind of have like a found family kind of dynamic sort of thing. It reminded me of Lost. So cool. It's really good. I want to finish it, but that's all I really know to say.
Cool.
I've had 2 shows I've watched recently. that are very polar opposites of each other. One being Ted Lasso, which that's another show I can't recommend enough. It is
My wife keeps wanting me to watch that.
freaking hilarious.
I've heard great things about that.
It's one of those shows that like,
And that's Apple Plus, isn't it?
Yeah, we did
I feel like that's the first one I've heard a lot of good stuff about.
We did a month trial for it, and like we finished. We probably did both. There's 2 seasons out right now. I think we did both in that month, or like not even half of that, maybe, I don't know. But like it's one of those shows where like we can't stop watching it almost, because it's, we watch after baby's in bed, our chores or whatever is done. It's like, so the whole premise, it's actually based off of a skit that they did on NBC Sports. I didn't know this until after I started watching it.
Oh,
it's an American, he's like a high school or a college football coach, gets hired to go be a football coach in England, where football is like American soccer.
yeah.
And he doesn't even know the rules of the game that he's being hired, and flew across the world to go be the coach of this team. But he's this super wholesome, upstanding guy. And that's kind of really the premise, that he brings one guy with him who's like his head coach, because he's the manager of this football team.
People compare his character to Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers.
I could probably see that.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know about the Bob Ross part, but I could maybe see the Mr. Rogers comparison a little bit. But he's just like over the top, happy friend, about everything, and it's super, super wholesome. It's one of those shows, like, especially in the first season, we just the whole time we're just grinning ear to ear just watching the show. It's so funny.
That's cool. Jess and I have been wanting to check it out.
Yeah, it's a high recommend for me. I think both seasons are 10 episodes long. Second season I didn't like as much, but not because it's bad in any way. It's just the first season I thought was just better. And the other show I watched is You. It's a Netflix show.
You watched me? Where?
Heard about this a little bit too.
It's interesting. You do kind of, it's kind of like, if you can accept the premise of it a little bit, then you can get sucked into it, and it is pretty good. Do you know what I mean?
You can get sucked into You.
Is somebody like a killer in that show?
That's kind of the whole thing of it, yeah. So the main character, his name is Joe. He is when he refers to you, he gets obsessed with these girls essentially, and he's like, oh, I'm doing this all for you, and at first you might get the sense that like, he's gonna do something weird, and like he's essentially a serial killer. But you don't, you kind of learn more about him as the show goes on, and without trying to spoil too much, and yeah, he just follows these different people, and then without saying too much about it, I don't know if you guys are interested in watching it.
If they make another season, it'll be called You 2.
There's they just finished the 3rd season. The 4th one was announced.
Jeez, there's 4 seasons of this thing.
There's 3. It came so the first season came out in 2019.
So is it like a mystery show? Is it like a Breaking Bad where like he's an anti-hero? Is he just a bad dude and they're trying to figure out who it is?
Kind of anti-hero, kind of just he's a bad guy, and you're just watching these events unfold.
Okay.
Anti-hero is probably a good way to put it, because like so I consider anti-hero like talking about like Breaking Bad. It's like you want to root for Walt, but like he is kind of doing bad stuff, but like you want him to succeed. This guy's bad the whole time.
Yeah.
But because he is the main character, you still kind of want to know what happens. But like there's no doubt in your mind the whole time. Like
interesting.
He's the bad guy.
It's like Joker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does do a good job of building some tense moments. I think it suffers a little bit from being it's not early Netflix productions, but it's those in-house. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's a good like it is good. There's it's not like a perfect piece of media or anything, but it was very enjoyable. That's another cool binge show.
I've seen a lot of people talking about that one too.
Yeah.
So
hey, Travis, what episode or how did you like the entirety?
Not watched any of the
leftovers.
Dude, I haven't been home. I've had no time. Check with me
Since
next
the last time I was on the podcast, 2 years ago, I also finished The Leftovers.
Yeah, I was watching Modern Masterpiece Dune.
Yeah.
With good characters. So.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Well, I think that's a podcast.
That's a podcast.
I think I
And
agree.
I didn't have my mic.
We'll fix it in post. I got a plan.
We apologize. Please forgive us. Please forgive Travis. Don't forgive me.
It's your
Please understand.
mic.
It's your recorder. Actually, it's your mic too.
So we're both at fault.
So it sounds like I didn't do anything wrong.
Wait, this is your mic and your recorder. This is all your fault.
Who's the man holding the gun right now? We'll fix it in post. But thank you for bearing. If you sat here and listened to the whole thing, let me know how I did fixing it.
Yeah, what do you think? Tell us what you
I'm
thought.
gonna get eviscerated.
This is gonna be all staticky and freaked up. No, he'll figure it out. He's like, you're like, what's that guy with the long hair that helps all the music artists? You're like Rob Dread.
Yeah, Rob Dread.
Is that
Rick
his
Rubin.
name? Rick Rubin. Yeah, let's see what Tim Wolf might be able to help you. He's
I'm like
collaborating with David Chase.
what's the guy in Pulp Fiction that has to clean up all the bodies?
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
White.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Wolf? It is the
Tim
Wolf.
Wolf, yeah, Tim Wolf.
It is Tim Wolf.
Yeah, he was in that too.
I think it is.
He's all over the place now.
All right.
Well, if you diamond hands your eyes to this screen or your ears to the beautiful audio, thank you. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and check out the Twitter. It's DweeBros. DweeBros Twitter. And we have a TikTok. It's DweeBros. Everything's DweeBros. Get your DweeBros here. Extra, extra. Read all about it. But thank you for watching. And more fun stuff is to come. Hey, Hangouts is going to be starting back up. We're rebuilding. We're rebuilding Hangouts. You'll see soon. I don't know what that means. Tim's going to help me out. He's going to collaborate with me, and we're going to get it squared
We'll
away.
be there.
But if you like Tim Wolf, if you like what he does, you might like this channel. So subscribe, check us out next time. Any last words?
Thanks for watching.
Any last words?
Goodbye.
No. There's another word you should say
Yeah.
based on what you're wearing.
Boo.